Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 173 on this lovely Sunday morning. And I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, Portia Power, joined as usual by my cast of characters, Mr. 8 himself. We bumped you up this week, Dan. Yeah. How you doing, brother?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like an 8. I'm really feeling like a 3 right now, but I'm running with 8. I'm doing good. Glad to be here again.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Joined as always by Mr. Tie Guy Travis himself. Good morning, sir.
McClunky, and Dan, you will always be a 10 to me.
Thanks. Yeah.
Joining us for the first time, host of his own channel, Video Games HD, as well as a panel member on Xbox Factor and Xbox Ultimate Podcast. You know him well, Mr. 3-Bit. What's happening, sir?
Hey guys, I just been playing the Infinite beta with everybody else. It's been a blast this week. Other than being a panelist, first off, great to be on the show with you guys. I watch it sometimes, and you guys are amazing. But yeah, I'm an animator in the industry. I do different projects with different companies. And other than that, I'm just a gamer. I love Halo, and it's one of the reasons why I'm even an animator in the first place. So excited to talk about it. And awesome. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, you and I had seen you around the community, but I hadn't actually run into you until we played Halo in that tournament with Gaming Beyond the Box. So no, that was less me, more my team. That was really fun. And it's been fun getting some Halo in. We got to play some more because, you are a formidable Halo player, I will say. So,
yeah, thank you.
It's awesome. Although you don't give yourself enough credit in other games because you told us the other night that the only game you can play is Halo, and I don't think that's necessarily true.
Oh, ask lady. I get wrecked in like Mario Golf and maybe some other first-person shooters where I can like take my Halo-ness to that game, but I don't know. Oh, Smash Bros. I'm not too bad.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about Nickelodeon Brawl here a little later. It's looking good.
The bit major competitor with Smash.
It is. I think it's going to take it over.
Breath, for sure.
I think it is. Yeah. And well, I mean, that's kind of insulting, Nickelodeon Brawl, but we'll let Smash.
Right.
So, anyway, good morning, everyone. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about PlayStation first party and their expansion. We're going to be talking about Halo, obviously, the big team battle flight. A bunch of rumors, credible rumors, shockingly, about Metal Gear, Silent Hill, Twisted Metal all returning, Castlevania all returning, which is impressive. We'll talk about that. We got Battlefield Open Beta coming next week as well, and a few other things. But first, before we do that, let's touch on some of the things we've been playing, of course. Who wants to start us off? Dan, you back in Death Stranding? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah. It's fine. You say gross?
Yeah, the game is very boring.
It is what you make of it. The problem
that is a very polite way of saying it.
Yeah, listen, I love the game.
That's like saying you make your own fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. Like what he did and what he tried to do.
Wise words.
Is make this game, this social connection game, and I think it was fine until I haven't played it for a long time. So when the remake or director's cut or whatever it was came out, I jumped in there and I'm noticing it's really kind of becoming very Twitterish, where you've got these like bridges and roads, anything you build, any kind of structure, and you build these things and you get these likes, and that affects your courier rating at the end of the day. Well, I built this very extensive slingshot system, basically that you can run around the whole map. You don't have to worry about hardly anything, and you just zip. You can just make deliveries, no problem, super fast, easy peasy. I got 0 likes on any of those structures. Yet there is this like 50-yard bridge that basically goes over a small puddle the size of a basketball. 10,000 likes. I'm like, what in the hell am I doing wrong? I don't understand how the game.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how it just like how my structure is going to other people's structure or other people's games, or why this guy has 10,000 likes on a bridge that goes nowhere in the middle of nothing. It doesn't make any sense. And it's frustrating because it affects, your progression a little bit. Now you can ignore it and just keep going, which is what I inevitably did. And it's just, I don't know what's happening, but I compare it to, you get on Twitter, you see the people that are, very flamboyant and screaming from the rafters about their chosen console. Everybody loves that stuff. You have a measured take that's, thought out and, well informed, and people are like, whatever, so that's basically what it's become. But they did a good job. A lot of the DLC is cool. I forgot they had the cyberpunk stuff that kind of crossed over, which was cool. They have the motorcycle. You can get like bees, face markings and stuff like that. Some stuff from Half-Life 2, or not Half-Life, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was $10. So it's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
I was going to ask, you're playing on the PS5 upgraded one, right?
Yeah, I'm playing the upgraded version.
How's that? How's it run?
It runs fine. I have no problem with it. It runs 60 FPS. That's all I need. So it looks much better than the original, but also the original looked really, really good. So
yeah,
it's great. Other than that, I've been playing basically Lost Judgment, which is my game of the decade. I'm not sure if anything's gonna. I'm like 5 chapters in.
More than Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
It's so. Last week I said it's like the Yakuza game I've ever played. It is gone beyond that to this different level. I don't even know. Like, I think some people that play it will be like, this is really, really jarring, because you go from very, very serious tones sometimes to, now I'm in a dance off, with, trying to teach these, high schoolers how to dance my, kung fu style. And it's just all over the place. But I love that. So, and there's tons of stuff to do. I probably got 20 to 30 hours in it, and I'm on chapter 4 maybe. And I think there's 13 chapters. So there's so much to do, and it's all pointless sometimes, but it's fun.
Dan, we call that going full Saints Row.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's that crazy. I mean, it's just a different culture, and you start seeing like what they put in it. Like they poke fun at tons of stuff. They actually bring up some different topics in the gaming community, like crunch. There's a whole side mission about crunch. Kojima is basically in the game, but they don't call him Kojima. He just sits at a computer. He's got little, circular glasses, exact same hair, looks exactly like Kojima. He's typing something on, he's programming a game, saying that he's a genius. It's 100% him. And
is that why you started playing Death Stranding again?
No, I started that actually just to see the upgrades, really, and I just kind of got stuck and lost in it again. But it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know when I'm going to finish it. I may never finish it. It's insane how good it is. So not what I was expecting, to be honest with you.
Nice.
I thought it was just going to be like, but
that's cool.
Really fun.
Now, have you played the other like Yakuza games?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I played them all. Yeah, I played all of them. I loved Like a Dragon, but I think Judgment is like a Dragon was crazy at times. You guys, whoever played it, it was definitely crazy. This one kind of takes it to another level. I mean, it keeps the old Yakuza gameplay style, the beat 'em up, fighting and stuff. So if you really weren't into those games, the older Yakuza games, you're probably not going to like this. But the characters are really well done. At first, I played through Judgment originally. I liked it. It was really good. But, I didn't know if I could connect to those characters the same way you connected to Majima and Kiryu. And it's just, I 100% have now. So I'm pretty invested. But it's a little bit different. I mean, it's a lot different than Like a Dragon. So you won't necessarily like it. If you play that and you love that game, which a lot of people have, which is great. But it actually takes place in the same city, partly as Like a Dragon. So that was kind of cool. I love those kind of callbacks. That and Kamurocho. So it's you feel right at home if you've played a lot of these Yakuza games in the past.
Is it technically in the same universe, Would you say? Or
I think so. Because I mean, you can go to places in whatever, I can't remember the Ichiro or Ichi something. I can't remember the town is, but whatever the town is in Like a Dragon, you can go there and you will see some of the same characters from Like a Dragon, in the game. So yeah, I'm assuming it's the same place, same.
I thought they said they were in the same universe. When they split the turn-based versus the real time.
Right. I mean, maybe
does it have an English dub? The Lost Treasure.
100%. Yep. Don't play with it because
come on, no one does that.
But
that's stupid.
Yeah, I think I did it.
You guys are being ridiculous.
I did it for like 1 minute, and I was like, "Gosh, what is this?"
It doesn't feel right.
Bad. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I can't play the ones without an English dub.
It does have an English dub.
I know.
I think that out of the box.
You guys are so hipster and elitist.
I think you're just racist. That's the problem.
How about
They have to speak English, or I won't play it.
I don't speak Japanese. I don't.
That's why you can have subtitles. There's this thing called subtitles.
Have you guys
if
ever?
I wanted to read subtitles, I'd buy a book.
I need subtitles in real life because sometimes I don't know what people are saying. Have you guys ever watched any like Korean drama shows or
no
any of that? Okay, well they do that tone shift a lot in like Korean dramas where it starts off, maybe it's like a romantic show. Usually there's a love triangle in there somewhere. And what they do is they completely tone shift to like someone dies. There's like a murder mystery thing. I don't know.
They just break genres. It's like
they just completely change the genre. And there's like it when they switch it, it's like a huge switch. Like it would be like a lighthearted show. Yeah.
That Parasite like just becomes a separate type of movie like halfway through. You're like, well, I did not think this was going to be what this movie was about.
Love it though.
They've done that in the past, I think, with a lot of the Yakuza games but it was never as jarring, I think, as some of these in here, because this deals with very, very, deep issues. And then, the next thing you know, you're, searching for a time capsule that some kids buried back in, 1992 or whatever. It's just really, and that's not even like the most jarring. I don't even want to go into some of the stuff. It's that weird, and it makes me feel weird. And so that's a mark of a good game.
By the way, Travis, Luke agrees with you. So you just made our point. Like he helped make our point. So
you know what? All of you elitists talking about these dubs. I can't handle it. I'm just like, what possible benefit could you have by not understanding what they're saying? What possible I can read subs. Okay, well, you could also not read subs. So like, what?
You don't appreciate the culture. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my god.
Well, it's
if I didn't appreciate the culture, I just wouldn't buy their game. I would just be like.
So you're a dub. You're a dub.
No, you buy it on the condition that they speak English for you.
I think people who watch dubs. I think people who watch dubs get dunked on by people who read subtitles for no reason other than just them feeling like it's superior. It's like it's such a BS.
It is.
Yeah. Why is it superior? No one has ever been able to tell me.
Okay, so
tell me one reason.
Dubs, with dubs,
do you speak Japanese? Do you understand anything they're saying?
No, that's why I have subtitles.
I know a little bit Chinese, but other.
If you understood Japanese, I would get it, because then you're probably getting something out of it because they're annotating and they're doing like different inflections. I get that. But if you don't, all you're getting out of it is that you get to say to people who do English dubs that you're better than them. That's the only advantage. And
you just gave us the advantage. So there. Yeah. You asked for one.
Well,
there it is.
Cool.
So that
you
was
guys
one.
Get to
there you go.
You're better than somebody who
I'm 100% fine with that. No problem.
3 minutes. You were trying to say something. Travis is on a rant already.
Sorry.
I mean, with with dubs, the advantage is I can, if I'm like working or and doing something on the side, then I can hear what they're saying, right? And I can work and also hear in the background, which I like to do. I like to watch movies and anime at the same time.
Sure.
If it's a sub, usually the voice acting to me, even though I don't know what they're saying,
that's the thing. People say
better.
This to me all the time. They say the voice acting's better in Japanese. And I'm like, is it though? Because you're not getting any of the
And
context.
the lip sync usually doesn't line up either unless they specifically design it to do so, which drives me bonkers.
Like they do in the Yakuza.
Because Japanese voice actors, you've played Yakuza probably.
Yeah, I have.
They just go all out.
Dragon.
Sometimes with like their Japanese inflections. So the way they scream, even it's like yeah, you know. And then it's like American voice actors don't always want to go there. They'll just be like, you know. So that's literally it for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just like
I guess if you're watching Dragon Ball Z and it's like 90% screaming, fine, I'll give it to you. It's not in Yakuza though. It's just not, and it's not in most of these.
It's fine. You're outnumbered. Yeah. You lost. Move on.
Being outnumbered does not mean I lost.
You still lost. It's fair.
You guys are all a bunch of Nazis, and I'm the only.
No, we're the ones who appreciate the Japanese language. You're saying they have to speak English for you.
All I'm saying is being in the majority. It doesn't make you right. Historically speaking, it makes you wrong, actually, if you look back at the history.
He's taking the Leonidas approach.
I will stand alone.
And just like that, Leonidas died. So well, here we are.
But he was right.
Anyway, moving on. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Mav Lady. Luke, not so much. But anyway, what have you guys been playing? 3-bit, anything good? We'll touch on Halo more here shortly, but anything else?
I've been trying to get back into Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
I've been going back and trying to finish that. That game really reminds me of The Witcher in terms of you needing, like, it has like a learning curve sort of to it, at least with the combat. So I basically start the game over. Like The Witcher 3, I probably restarted like 4 or 5 times just because I would get really close to the end of the game, take like a 3-month break, and then just get wrecked because I forgot how to play it.
Yeah.
So I'm restarting Final Fantasy 15. It's like the first Final Fantasy game I played, and some people chastise that.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've never played another one, so I don't know. Like people bring up all these different Final Fantasies that they love and that they hold dear to them, but that's literally the only one. I played a little bit of 7, the new
remake.
The remake. And I like that one as well. But just replaying that. And of course Halo.
Which one are you playing?
Final Fantasy 15. 15.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, we're on the road trip. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I think a lot of people did hate that game though. I don't. I wonder if they hate it because they played the other installments or if they haven't. Because I have a whole different perspective.
Well, they also fixed a bunch of stuff, so you're playing a different version of the game.
Basically, 60 frames now. Playing on the Series
and
X.
They took out like chapters that were really bad, like near the end of the game. There's lots of complaints, and I think they just removed those parts or they like shortened it. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's a very different.
Yeah. I think the problem you have too is if I know you're younger 3-bit, and if you didn't grow up with the old Final Fantasies and actually play them in their era, right? They're you don't appreciate them the same way today. Like there's no way, I don't think most people, I would say it's fair. You're not going to sit down and play Final Fantasy 3 and love it the same way that people like myself who played it when it was new did. It's a very different type of game today than it was 20 years ago.
Counterpoint, I also played the Final Fantasy games when they were new, and most of them were bad. So
I'm about middle with you. They're not like way up there for me, but they're there's a couple
like if you counted out all the Final Fantasy games and you just told me which ones are bad and which ones are good, the bad would have it. Would it not? Like
I don't know. I'll kind of partially agree with you.
If we're counting also like the non-main title ones, like the spin-offs.
Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot of bad Final Fantasy out there. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I technically did play at Blockbuster Final Fantasy 10-2. 10-2.
At Blockbuster.
Yeah, it was at Blockbuster. It had like gameplay displays.
Nice. Nice.
And I still have. They had like 360 posters. You know how they have the different sections or like GameStop. Yeah. Before they closed, they actually gave me their huge display 360 poster.
Nice.
I love it. But yeah, I did play 10-2 for a little bit. I think people also hated that one. So I don't know. What Final Fantasy games are besides 7 are like universally loved? Because it seems like people are like, oh, I love Final Fantasy.
See, I'm one of the rare people that doesn't really care for 7.
Okay. You don't
Which is
care.
rare.
I don't think any of them are universally loved. They're all super divisive. Like every Final Fantasy game, like people who are super Final Fantasy stans say they love 6, but like a lot of people don't. 10 is like people who like it, I guess, just really liked the PS2, and the people who don't like it have seen the characters in that game.
It's like each one has their own fan base. It feels.
Yeah, they just
very
all
much
are like
so.
self-contained. Some of them are loved, some of them are hated, but none of them are universally loved or universally hated. To their credit,
maybe the MMO 14. No,
14 seems to be
no.
generating a lot of positivity lately.
Yeah,
14 is probably one of the more loved, but like a lot of people don't like that game because it's
4 and 6 are always my favorites, but I'm old, so you know.
You are old.
16-bit era. Final Fantasy 9 I really enjoyed too because it was a throwback to the classic ones as well.
Wow, you're just an old man screaming at the clouds.
Yeah, I am. I'm screaming into this mic, man. Yeah,
that's right.
I know. I don't know. Final Fantasy 6 or 3, whatever you want to say in the American side, is I'd say that's arguably one of the most beloved out of all of them. That's up there with 7's probably the highest out of all of them, but I'd say 6 is right behind it. If you ask your general kind of Final Fantasy population. So,
in what ways did they change the genre of Final Fantasy? Because you said like when you first played it, it changed the turn-based genre. Like in what ways though? Because there are other turn-based games around that time, right?
Yeah, they were all turn-based.
But I guess that was like
the classics. Where I think where 7 went wrong for me was they went kind of like futuristic steampunkish, where the old Final Fantasies were much more kind of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were wizards and mages and stuff, and that just turned me off of it. Still a great game, but
7 also had wizards and mages and magic.
Yeah, it's different though. Yeah, the coolest thing about 7 was when they introduced summons, because that was like revolutionary at the time. But we can talk about Final Fantasy for a while. There's a lot of them. So yeah. Oh, and Tactics. Mav brings up Final Fantasy Tactics, which is
Final Fantasy Tactics is dope.
Yeah. So anyway, Travis, what you been up to, man? Anything good?
Yes. A lot of Halo, Destiny as usual. I'm still trying to get through Deathloop, and another game I'm not allowed to talk about that I'm doing a preview for IGN. And then I've been keeping busy, but I guess this weekend the major thing is Halo, which we'll talk about later. But just I'm trying to catch up on games, man. That's my main goal. It's not very compelling show talk, but like I'm super behind on Deathloop, Psychonauts 2, yada yada, like you name it. I need to play it. So I'm trying to get that done.
So I had a buddy the other day, Sarko, if he's listening to this, he said, what's going on with the next season of The Lost? And I said, I have no idea, but Travis may have some info on that. So what's going on with the next season of The Lost?
The next season of The Lost. I don't know what that sentence means. So season of The Lost is a season in Destiny. The next season of Destiny is going to be Witch Queen, which is the main expansion. It's happening in February. Right. And it's going to be like their huge, they have a huge release like every year to 18 months, and that's going to be the big one. But Season of the Lost is running from now until that comes out. And in between then and now, we have more story beats. And then this December, we have a 30th anniversary of Bungie existing event in Destiny, where they're actually pulling in a bunch of references to their old games. Even Halo, there's some Needler armor that you can get. Yeah. And there were rumors that the Halo Magnum was actually going to be an exotic weapon, but I think that deal fell through for now. It might be added later, but they have like references to a bunch of their old games that they're going to put into the game. That's going to be really awesome. That's happening in December. So to answer your question, there's plenty more Season of the Lost. There's the 30th anniversary event in December, which sounds like it's going to be crazy. Just a ton of like old references to old Destiny memes and old Bungie games. And then the big expansion comes in February, which is going to be bonkers. So
the CE Magnum in Destiny would be awesome.
I still think it could happen. Apparently so I have a journalistic source here, apparently, just because I know people at Bungie, that said that there were real talks of putting like more stuff in Halo, talks with Microsoft and 343, and they just couldn't get it in time. Like it wasn't it was just a matter of getting it before December when the 30th anniversary happened. So it could happen in the future, I think.
Well, I mean, like Phil Spencer himself is like a massive Destiny fan and
he's
player.
always
So
on.
Damn,
I
is
know,
he, dude?
so
He's like a diehard for sure.
yeah. So I mean, you don't really need any further approval, than his word. So, well, cool, guys. So I think I'm allowed to say, and I think I said it too early on social media the other day, apparently, that I'm playing Far Cry 6. And looking forward to that. I think you can start teasing it today. Previews land tomorrow, I believe, and then reviews are kind of middle of the week. So I can't really say too much. All I can say is that you're playing it, and I'm enjoying it. So more to come.
What's the review score?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just kidding. So more to come on that very soon. But yeah, enjoying it. Yeah. So I've been putting a lot of time into that because it's a big game. So just try get that done for the review is tough. So literally my week has been that, and now Halo, of course. So
are you allowed to say that you're enjoying it?
Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know how that could be a bad thing, right?
Yeah, but
I know.
You're giving impressions, critical impressions.
No, I think you could tease that starting today, high level impressions. So anyway,
it's one of those embargoes with tears.
It's really weird.
Love
yeah,
that,
there's multiple pages of when you can do certain things, and yeah. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk PlayStation for a little bit before we get to Halo, because the kind of biggest news.
Just kidding.
I was like,
let's talk about PlayStation. All right, guys, I'm going to the
bathroom. The biggest news this week was PlayStation making some further acquisitions. Obviously, Bluepoint was the big one, which has been rumored and kind of known or speculated on for a long time. Hell, they had a graphic leak like months ago that this was occurring, that one of their artists put out. But so they formally announced that they've acquired Bluepoint Studios, and they haven't specifically said details of what they're working on, but it's supposedly two projects. One is a new IP and one is a remake, though it's not the remake that has been rumored, apparently, which is like Metal Gear and Silent Hill. It's neither of those. So we'll see what that is. But this is a big acquisition for PlayStation. I mean, I think we all appreciate what Bluepoint does, and their remakes are absolutely incredible. So we'll see what they do, especially from
what
a new.
What else have they remade?
Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls. And they've worked on, I didn't put it in the notes, they've worked on a few other things as well in terms of remakes, like collaborated with other studios. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't really heard of them until Demon Souls, to be honest with you. So when this acquisition happened, I was kind of like, okay, like I guess just Demon Souls was good. I don't know what else they've worked on, but
the Uncharted collection.
Oh, the Uncharted collection as well. Yeah, that's one
Uncharted
of them.
collection.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're going to be a remake studio. Well, it sounds like they already are.
They have been, yeah. Supposedly they have a new IP in the works now. That can mean a million things, right?
Is it a new IP? They said original content, but that doesn't mean new IP to me. I feel like they would have said new IP.
That's fair. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, they haven't definitively told us what they're doing, so I guess we'll see. But regardless, it's still it's still a big kind of addition to PlayStation. And then Fire Sprite Studio, which is a studio out of Manchester that they acquired, PlayStation acquired several weeks ago now. They acquired another smaller studio called Fabric Games, and they are now a 265-person studio, according to the press release. So that's a pretty meaty studio. Yeah, I mean that's a good size. So that's between these two. That's, I don't know how big Bluepoint is. I want to say 1 to 150. So regardless, you're in the 400 plus developer range that PlayStation first party just added, which is significant. So, yeah, it's good for them.
I hate to agree with Moriarty before your debate next week, but
it's not a debate. Let's shut that down right now.
All right, before your cat fight. Sorry. I honestly think PlayStation does acquisitions like they set the standard for this stuff. They build relationships, kind of like dive into it, and then they buy it when the time's right. I think that's admirable. I think these acquisitions make sense from what I know. I mean, I don't really know a lot about either of these studios, and I'm not excited at all by Bluepoint because I hate remakes. But yeah, I think they do a really good job with who they choose to work with and how they build those relationships and then make it official.
I think my problem with that is a lot of people think that PlayStation builds relationships and Microsoft doesn't. They just buy them and then they just have the money. out of the gate, and they don't have any relationship with them, but they just, they have the money to do it. But that's not really true when you look at with Bethesda and what they have done with each other, and how with Oblivion, they literally, because of Oblivion, they decided to put more resources into the 360 just because they needed it for that game. They're like, okay, let me look at what we can do. Yeah, I mean, with Microsoft,
I agree. I agree with the example you used, Bethesda. I also agree with like Ninja Theory. I think that was like a studio that they'd worked with on a ton of stuff before, and it made sense. But there are just as many bad examples with Microsoft, where like the relationship probably wasn't there. Like even honestly, even Bungie is an example of that. Like Bungie straight up dipped after a couple years of them being part of the Microsoft studio, and that's never like a great sign that the culture was lined up, or that they wanted to be a part of your company. Everybody knows about what happened with Rare and that sort of relationship, which to be fair, I think is much better now, but was a very like unstable acquisition. So I do agree. I think people were way too hard on Microsoft. I'm more just saying in general, when acquisitions happen, a lot of people sort of bemoan it, and you don't see that a lot with PlayStation. I think it's because the plays that they make they seem to be a lot more strategic and sort of like slow. And when the acquisition happens, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas some of the other times it feels like it's a hostile takeover.
But if people are going to bring up that as well, because we know Fable Legends, I think it was a game that
I played that game multiple times.
I did too.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I played it like E3 booths.
I thought it was going to be decent.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be all right.
I love the concept of that game. That's a shame that we won't be able to see.
But I mean, I think there's a lot of aspects here, and I think this is probably what's going to come into the conversation with me and Colin, because there's a lot to kind of break down here. But I think at the end of the day, right, it's business. And in business, you take the opportunities that are afforded to you. So for instance, if the roles were reversed and Sony was a $2 trillion company and Microsoft was a $65 billion company, I can guarantee you that Sony would be making more acquisitions than they are in different ways. They just don't have the capability to do so financially. So I think that's one aspect, but I partially agree with you, Travis. I think there are areas that Sony has, or PlayStation, whatever you want to say, has kind of built those relationships. Insomniac's a good example, right? Very close with them. They got them at a bargain, right? But there's other studios there, and I think Microsoft or Xbox has faltered in the past. But I also think it's unfair to criticize Xbox now versus Xbox 8 to 10 years ago, because it's a very, very different organization, and their focus now is vastly different in how they're cultivating relationships, in my opinion.
I mean, Sony also closed some studios. What was it this year as well?
Firesprite was a PlayStation studio under a different name like 15 years ago, and PlayStation shut them down.
They shut them down, then bought them.
Of course, because that's what you do in business, because it's cheaper to do that. Right. You let them rebuild, they reorganize, and then you come in and buy them when they're cheap and take that talent. I mean, it's business. That's what you do. It's not pretty at times, but it's the nature of it.
Yeah. I would say
it also has to do with like the size of the acquisitions. I think Microsoft, because they're a bigger organization, their acquisitions are larger. Larger acquisitions are messier. There's a lot more that can go wrong. There's duplicated positions, which means that there's inevitable layoffs. Whereas these smaller acquisitions feel like more organic, right? Where there's probably a lot.
You used the organic word. It came out.
There it is.
What's wrong with organic?
Nothing. It's just like a meme right now in this conversation.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it does feel more organic. Where like some of them, if you hear an acquisition and you're like surprised, you're just like, what? Like those people are merging, then that's usually, in my opinion, not a good sign. Like if they didn't seem like they were on the same page before. Like if you're like shocked that the two companies are coming together. But you're right. We were right. We haven't seen a lot of that recently. Like all of Xbox's acquisitions have been like, okay, that makes sense. Except for Bethesda. That one was just shocking because they're such huge organizations.
So big. Yeah. And I think, there's other aspects here, right? There's people miss the internal growth because it's not publicized. Like you don't recognize that these individual studios under both PlayStation and Xbox are growing substantially. I mean, the way they're hiring right now is just massive. Or the way they've been supported. You've got studios like In Exile and Ninja Theory that are moving into new headquarters. I mean, beautiful brand new buildings set up, while they're hiring. I mean, there's a lot of support that's going on for these devs. So there's a lot of aspects here that I think that come into play in this overall conversation. But going back to the topic at hand, it's nice to see, in my opinion, it's nice to see PlayStation kind of doing this as well, and bringing in more talent, because as we always continue to say here, we're going to benefit from it. This is just more talent for PlayStation and Xbox to build better games for us to play, which at the end of the day is the whole point.
Yeah. And
you know
I
what?
think
Go ahead, man. Finish it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm trying not to bring Microsoft to the conversation, but it's
he's an Xbox guy.
I am an Xbox, but I think we all seen Bluepoint coming. I think they're a great fit for the Sony brand, and I hope the rumors are true and they are sort of given the ability to do their own original IP, but we don't really know because of the way they phrased it. I hope
back into the remake minds. That's what I say.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, I would love to see it, regardless what some people think. Even remaking a game is incredibly difficult and requires some serious talent. And now it doesn't mean it doesn't translate. It'll translate to their own original game, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. I think they're a really talented studio, though. If you were to look back at some of their games with Shadow of the Colossus and how they were able to bump that game, because I don't know if you guys played the PS2 version of Shadow of the Colossus. It looked great for its time, for sure. But if you play it now, it's definitely they really amped up a lot, and it's actually very impressive. So I am definitely looking forward to that. But right now, in terms of Sony acquiring studios, Sony's going to acquire more studios. Microsoft is going to acquire more studios. It's going to happen. How people feel about either one of those acquisitions, I mean, like you said, it's just business at this point. And Phil Spencer said in the beginning of this year, actually, that they're trying to reach 3 billion people. And how do you reach 3 billion people? It's probably going to be acquisitions, right? And they have spent, they have to spend around 30 to 40 billion by the end of their fiscal year, if I'm not mistaken. So what do you think that means? That means buying a lot of studios.
Probably Asian studios would be my guess. That's what they
I mean, that's what Phil wants, right? He said he wants more Japanese developers and to fill that hole, especially with the Tokyo Game Show and different things there.
They have a Japanese studio now because of the Bethesda acquisition.
Yeah.
They got Tango,
which is really cool.
Which, by the way, they announced this week that Shinji is working on a new horror IP, which got me very excited. Let's go.
Oh, I did not see that.
Very excited.
Already working on it. So they got Ghostwire Tokyo, which has the PlayStation deal, right? But they said that internally at the studio, they're already working on a new IP for Xbox.
Wow.
Yeah. Exciting. By the way, Shizno pointed out that Travis, that they also made the Metal Gear remasters on 360 and PS3. So that, going further back, that's what they did as well. Dan, we got a super chat from Mo. I almost missed because we were chatting. Hey, you got this?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Cheers to the sexy panel and everyone watching. Thank you, Mo, for $4.99 super chat.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yes. Listen, here's where I'm at.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
All right. I hate it. I hate everything about these acquisitions. I hate talking about acquisitions. I hate that this whole freaking industry is consolidating. It's not great for us. All right. It's not, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have Netflix, Hulu, or Peacock. You're going to have Apple TV. You're going to have all these things. You're going to have 15 to 20 subscriptions by the end of this. You're going to have the Soldier Boy subscription. You're going to have Nintendo Switch with it. You're going to have PlayStation. You're going to have Xbox. You're going to have whatever else comes out. Amazon, Google, I mean, it's
what's
just
wrong with that, Dan?
It sucks because for your wallet, it's garbage, right? At the end of the day, this isn't like super consumer friendly. It sucks, but I never thought I'd get Apple TV, but sure enough, I had to watch Ted Lasso. So for the one show I wanted
You
to
didn't
watch,
pay for Apple TV, did you? Because
absolutely not.
You get 6 months free.
And also T-Mobile gave me a year. But you know what? That's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
But
subscription service like Game Pass are famously anti-consumer.
I'm just saying, listen,
on the show many times.
Hold on,
but
for
with
a second.
Game Pass, you can get it for a dollar. Yeah, I'm just like,
Game Pass can eat one for as far as I'm concerned. 'Cause I've used it twice this year for MLB and Outriders, and that's literally it. But that's super subjective.
Does Game Pass exist? No, it's not though, because Game Pass existing does not remove your ability to buy games. So why does it affect you?
What are you talking about? Like,
can you not buy any games that are on Game Pass?
Is going to be subjective regardless. Like you can, it's just the value is what I'm talking about.
Right. So having more options for the consumer is bad for the consumer.
No, that's not what I'm saying. All right. Okay. I have to watch that for a second. Hold on. So what I'm saying, it's fine if it's like, oh yeah, I got Game Pass and I've got all these games on Game Pass. That's fantastic. $15. Awesome. Wait till it gets to 20 and eventually 25, maybe eventually $30. Also, I want to play all these other games. Well, guess what? They're not on Game Pass. I got to go over this other system. Well, this system over here or service also has all these games that I want to play. Crap. I mean, PC gaming sounds like it might be the best route to go as far as like getting as much as you can, but still, you're still going to be paying for these services.
You don't have to though.
Right. But if you
just buy the
point is,
it's not like Netflix.
I'm not even then. But then, okay, fine. I'll pay.
Netflix or Hulu. You cannot buy their movies or shows. That's the problem.
What I'm saying is, if I want to play God of War, right, I have to buy a PlayStation 5, right? I have to buy the system, the whole system anyway, right? Or if I want to play Metroid Dread, I gotta buy a Nintendo Switch, right?
So
I mean, it's just
it's always been the case.
I understand that, but it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? If you have these studios consolidating and buying all these, or these companies buying all these studios, you know, you're just kind of forced, and not everybody has unlimited funds. You know, not everybody has disposable income that they can just go out and just buy 15 different things or whatever they want. What if somebody else comes in, you know, with
I'd be more concerned. I mean, that's why I would rather Microsoft buy some of these studios than Amazon or Google, because if they buy it and then put it on their platforms, I don't want to go to Amazon.com to play like
nobody does. Literally nobody does.
Game,
nobody wants that.
I'm sure Jeff Bezos does.
Well, yeah,
Jeff
does.
While he's in space.
It's another roll of golden toilet paper, you know, that he can use. You know?
Dan, I disagree with you on some
I know
levels.
you do. I knew you were going to.
But I think
I said anything.
I think
I could have said the complete opposite, and you would have disagreed.
No, I mean, do I like to play devil's advocate? Very much. And the fact that I'm in a suit makes me an easy villain. I get it, but. I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding of how the games industry works here, because
I don't think so.
Consolidation is not only a natural part of the games industry, but it's also good for the games industry, because if you start a gaming studio and you grow it from 5 people to 50 people, your end goal as the starter of that game studio is to get acquired, get your payday, and then you work for the company that acquires you for a couple of years and you do it again. That's like the capitalist cycle. And in the games industry, it's healthy because it means that you create new studios, new jobs. And then when you go and you start a new studio, that studio can have its own identity. It can make games that are different than other studios that have existed before. If you don't have that acquisition process and you're just growing that studio, or worse yet, stagnating in that studio, you don't create new ones. And I think the goal in starting a studio is to grow, eventually get acquired, be successful, and then have that money so that you can go and do your next studio. And so I think that cycle's healthy. And it's also great that there are people buying these studios, because that gives incentive for more people to see that model working and go, maybe I can do that too. Maybe I can make a studio that will be successful and get to that point. It is not a zero-sum game. If I buy your studio, it does not mean that, like, okay, now I own you and you can never work anywhere else. You can never make any projects you want. It's not like that at all. They're buying the people, they're buying the technology, they're buying the culture. And then eventually those people can go off and do their own stuff and create new things. And I think that's good.
I think you're right in certain aspects. I'm not disagreeing with the fact from where you the way you said that. Yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, for me, And like, this is why I worry about myself. Like, I have what I need, obviously, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of people are missing out, I think, on some of these different experiences, you know, unfortunately. And it's a hobby. It's a luxury hobby. You know, I understand that too. You know, it's not something that's like, you know, you have to have this. I just get sick and tired of, you know, having to have, you know, 15 services. I don't want what's happened to the movies / TV / you know, that kind of entertainment media to come over to the games. And that's what my fear is, you know, and that's, maybe it's 10 years down the road. Maybe Amazon comes out.
I just think there's like equal reasons to be encouraged by what's happening to the industry, because games are more accessible than they've ever been. And the trend is that they're going to be even more accessible in the future. You don't even need to buy the console anymore. You can just play on xCloud, pay $10 a month. Like, there, you could choose to be afraid, but like, if you're just looking objectively at the stuff that is a little scary in the games industry and the stuff that's really hopeful, they're kind of equal. It's like a glass half empty, half full situation. But I just, yeah, I think your view is like overly, like afraid of change, and I think a lot of the change we're seeing in the games industry is pretty healthy and encouraging, and I'm encouraged by it personally.
Well, I think I am too. I think there's a lot of good things about, you know, I think there's a lot of good things about where it's going. This is the kind of stuff I don't like, but exclusive content is always going to sell, you know, your systems, right? It's gonna your service or system. Yeah, it's gonna bring those people over. And I understand the business behind it, right? I just don't have to like it necessarily.
It sounds like you're more afraid of the potential of platform agnostic approach, meaning that like, if you would have looked back many years ago, you had a lot less options on how you got games. And if you wanted a Nintendo game, you bought a Nintendo. And if you wanted a Sega game, you bought Sega, etc. And they were very closed and walled off. But there were only 4 options realistically, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think it sounds like, based on what you're saying, is not necessarily the acquisition is scary or supporting the studios, because we're seeing, as we just said, we're seeing fantastic support for these studios. The Psychonauts 2 we wouldn't have got if Xbox didn't buy Double Fine. Period. Tim Schafer said
true.
It. Yeah. But I think it sounds like what you're scared of is the fact that we've at least for the last 2 decades, maybe we've gotten comfortable with having Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo pretty much exclusively. Whereas now it may be like we have Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Amazon, Google, whoever else may come into play. Tencent obviously is doing their own thing. Apple. I mean, there's all these other potential, which in today's environment is pretty much the console platform that we were used to growing up. It just feels like there could be too many of them. So I get that.
Competition's always good. Competition
is always good.
I think Dan's saying is like, if they come out with, this is just hypothetical, obviously, but if they come out with Witcher 4 and they say this is an Apple exclusive, he's like, well, damn it, now I've got to go get an Apple service that, you know what I mean? That's and I can see that.
That's what I'm worried about, because we saw it with, you know, cable. You don't need cable anymore. This was 10, 15 years ago. Cable is garbage. Just get Netflix, and then you go get Sling TV and piecemeal your stuff together, whatever it is, you know, and then you have to have these agreements between, you know, the service providers and the actual companies that own these
license holders.
You know, the license holder, right? So now, and every, I don't know, 6 months, somebody, you know, I miss a TV show because these two people are arguing over, you know, millions and millions of dollars. I don't give a crap. Just show me, you know, I want to watch my show. You know, what the hell's going on? You know, that's what I'm afraid to see in the future, because the more you add to it, the more players in the game, competition is great. And I think it's going to push everybody 100%, but it's also going to kind of come back and potentially bite us in the ass, because we've got too many hands in the cookie jar, you know? And so when you start just pulling stuff over, I guess in one way that's good, because, you know, if the company like Microsoft is supportive and everything they've shown they have been, I think, you know, that here's a bunch of money, go make whatever you want, like Psychonauts 2, like you said, you know, so you know, there's potential both ways, like you said, Travis. I think it's a half empty, half full thing. I just don't want to see what's happened in this one media come over to the game industry. That's my biggest fear.
I think as long as you can also buy the games, like, that's really key. And I think is Xbox Game Pass being like the first major subscription service out there and letting you do that, that's now got to be the model, because if you can't do it on other platforms, it's going to be the first thing that people complain about, right? Like if Amazon launches a subscription service, which I guess they already have, and says, oh, you can't buy the games here, you just have to pay the subscription fee and you never own anything. That's going to be, people are going to be like, but Game Pass exists. There's no standard for that because Netflix came first and they don't sell you their movies or shows. But it also, part of what you're afraid of is that we're going to have too many great games on too many platforms that we want to play, which to me sounds like a good thing, to be honest. Like I am never going to complain about having too many great games that are competing for my money. Like, let them compete. Believe in the hand of the market. Come on. Have you learned nothing from Andrew Ryan, Dan?
Oh,
right.
That's a good reference. That's a good reference.
That's a good reference. Now, like I'll say here, and it's, I just don't want to have 15 different things. That's my biggest thing. I would love to have just my PlayStation, just my Xbox, and then call it good. So I
think you're probably gonna have zero things, Dan. You're gonna have nothing. It's gonna be all in the cloud. You'll just have you'll play with you'll get into your coffin and you'll plug yourself in and
I won't even see.
You'll be in the internet. That'll be it.
I won't
be like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
It's just, I think they just need to be careful, on this path. I think that there is potential for, and we can sit here and say, oh, but my platform has this and my platform has this. I don't care about your platform. I don't care about your services. I want to play what I want to play when I want to play it. If you sit there and you start gatekeeping, certain games, because, there's exclusive and there's a reason for it. I understand the reasons for it. I'm just saying it sucks. It sucks that I have to, like this New World Amazon game, probably something I never would play, but what if they come out with some kind of, game that really kind of, speaks to me, or I want to play, it's like a single player, whatever, big RPG, it's just like, oh man, I really want to play that. Oh, I got to go to Amazon to play this and sign up for this account. And, just so I can play this game, and that's,
you can buy New World, right? Like it's not.
Right. Yeah. If I had a PC, I'm just saying, it's like, what I see, it was like the top 5 games on Steam this week.
If there's anyone in the world that I know who I am not afraid is going to suddenly like too many games, it's you.
Well, no. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think you're safe.
You guys
man. I don't think you have to worry about a lot of games you liking.
Absolutely
you're going to be like, oh, I like so many games. Really, not your problem, man. I'm worried about guys like me who don't have time to play all the games they like. You, the 4 games a decade that you enjoy, I'm not worried about that. Yeah.
All right.
See, 3-bit. Yeah. This is what I deal with every week.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys seem to have like Travis is sometimes he's looking at it from like the business sense, and then you're looking at it from like the consumer, I guess, like your own personal look at it. But I think in the end,
it's just not a Netflix, to be honest with you.
I mean, when you think about movies and Netflix and Hulu, I guess the initial attraction to those services was, hey, it's cheaper. You have access to all these different movies and shows. But I do get the argument where I'm like signing up for basically up to the price where it was cable again. Yeah. when people like signed up for cable packages, it was like
when you combine it all together. Yeah.
When you combine Hulu, Netflix, all these different services, it's basically cable again. But it's just
TV
very well hidden.
TV is so much better. Remember when TV was bad? I grew up with like TV was like not good. Like it was so bad. Like all the shows were just like, and they knew it too. Like if you were, people called you a TV actor if you were in TV, and it was like not as good. And now if you're in a TV show, like it's like movie budget or better. Like Game of Thrones exists. Like that's because of streaming services. Like I think like it's such a different model. And also I think in the future you can't watch 50 shows at once. So if there's 50 different services, you can just have a service, watch the show, and then when you're done, cancel it, and then subscribe to the service that has the next show you want to watch. Like you don't have to have 9 services concurrently, especially because you can't watch 9 shows in 1 month if you're binging. You know what? There's probably somebody out there who's watched 9 shows in 1 month. So that person, I'm sorry, you're probably gonna have to pay the service. But me personally, like I'm I'm like a one show man until I'm done with it, and then I'll move on to the next one, which is why I miss so many shows. I still need to watch Squid Games.
By the way, quick shout out, if you're not watching Sex Education on Netflix, you should be. Okay.
Oh yeah,
I just
love that show. I finished it.
Amazing.
Like,
everybody, I have such a problem with binge culture. Everybody has a show that you have to see,
I know.
or they want to punch you in the face, and it's just like there are a million shows. I don't have time for them all.
I have that with movies.
I don't need to hit
You
anyone.
haven't seen Sex Education? Oh my
show.
God, you haven't seen it? How have you not seen it? How have I not seen it? Have you been on Netflix? How have I seen it? Like, that's my question.
I'm literally rewatching Seinfeld. This old man over here. Let me just put it on yesterday.
But it's still better than 95% of the shows.
It is 100% better than most of that stuff.
By the way, we missed a super chat, Dan. I'll let you read this one because it's built specifically for you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Good morning, all. Dan is wrong.
Relatable content,
and I feel like I can understand that. So
small, bite-sized super chat gets right to the point. Right to the point.
You know what? I appreciate it. I
appreciate
the simplicity.
Yeah. $5 to tell a man he as a human is wrong. What a deal.
Oh my gosh. All right. We certainly went on a tangent there.
My bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's good content.
Just to wrap that up, I was going to say one more comment, because between the comments, Dan, you were making, and Travis, you were making, is there is that point where this is an industry that's rapidly expanding, and because of the nature of the industry and all these companies now seeing the profitability potential in the industry, you have an arms race, right? And that will work itself out over time, but it takes time, and there's going to be some messy things that happen in the progress of that occurring. But I think
one example, wasn't Bethesda like rumored to be working on a subscription service before they got acquired? Like, that's not going to happen anymore, right? So
correct. And they had their own streaming tech, cloud streaming tech, and they have obviously multiple engines. Yeah, I mean, Bethesda was much more than the IP to Xbox for sure.
Yep. And people need to look past the game publishers to end this. With Microsoft, they need to look past just game publishers. Just say.
Yes, because the main competitors the next 2 decades, it's going to be Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. People who have the cloud infrastructure to support cloud gaming. Like, I think PlayStation, Nintendo are going to be like, they're still going to exist and do what they're doing, but they're not going to be competing on the same level when it gets to cloud streaming. It's going to be. And Microsoft knows that. Microsoft knows Amazon's the real competition, and that's why
they said it 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's why PlayStation and Nintendo use Azure as their cloud services. They know it too. They don't want to give Amazon and Google a foothold. I think it makes sense.
Until Monday, when Amazon acquires Sony PlayStation. And then,
do you imagine?
I think if
that would be Twitter would burn down.
I would leave. I mean, I would quit the show for at least like 6 months, and then I would come back when everything was
Amazon Spider-Man original.
Yeah.
If Sony was ever open to that, it would have happened already, because Amazon is so despy. They're out there looking for a date to prom. Like, they want to get in the games industry so bad, and no one's
that rich kid in the corner that everyone's
just like,
dude.
They have to prove to them internally that it can be profitable, even though they see the numbers, they see how much the game industry makes, but to them, is it going to be profitable?
And they've lost money to date. I mean, they've lost a lot of investment. It's just not Google, the same thing. Yeah, I mean, they just don't
lost like a $1 billion company worth of money on a project that lasted like 6 months. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're learning the hard way, right? The sad thing is that $1 billion to Google doesn't matter.
You can afford to take those risks, right?
I mean, it matters, but you know what I mean. They're taking the risk to learn. So the next decade is going to be real interesting.
And I think this is where Microsoft made the right choice with, you can waste your $1 billion on, a shot in the dark, or you find a studio or multiple studios, publishing company, 23 studios.
It's because
with Bethesda, they said, I'm going to pay you $7.5 million. That's where the sure bet is.
Billion,
right? Whatever it was. $1 billion. You can
small difference.
Well, you know what I mean.
Exponential difference.
They saw there was an established, industry or a company, so I mean, it made sense. You know, the way they did it basically was they you know, you could buy a puppy, right? Like what Sony does, and go buy a puppy, and then you have to kind of nurture it all the way up to, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years when it finally becomes you know, an adult, and you've done all the work, whatever. If that makes you sleep better, who cares?
Or is this a dog fighting metaphor?
Yeah, or you go buy a 3-year-old puppy that's been trained and, you know, knows not to pee in the house and has provided, you know, can provide you with, you know, love and affection, you know, and it's already ready to done. The work is finished. All you got to do is just pay for the food.
Only Dan could turn a $7.5 billion Bethesda acquisition into a puppy metaphor.
That's hilarious. This is a very tortured metaphor. What are we training these dogs to do?
No, not the fight. He's just saying to buy. Like a puppy takes a lot more work.
Right.
And you cultivate it and train it and everything, or you can buy the 3-year-old dog that's already perfectly trained just to be your dog.
Right.
Yeah.
To be
or you can adopt a baby.
You took it down a dog fighting route that
nobody
mentioned.
Metaphor
make it
so
anything
much.
you want to. You know, have a kid. You have to, you know, go through all the crap of, like, you know.
I just bought my kids when they were 6. It's easier.
That's what I'm saying. Or just go adopt. You know, there's several orphans and people that need adopting out there. You know, PSA. You know, go do that.
Oh
you know, there's a lot of ways to look at this. So, you know, it's. I think Microsoft did the smart thing. I should have adopted my kids, is what I'm saying.
At 18. Fully grown.
You got me so lost in that I completely forgot what I was going to say prior to that.
I don't even know what the metaphor is referring to anymore. All I can think about is dogs and that Dan doesn't love his kids. That's really where I'm at.
Oh my gosh!
I just put it out there. You guys do what you want with it. I mean, I've done that part.
Oh goodness,
it's hilarious.
Well, I remember what I was going to say. The point we were making prior, right, about Amazon and Google throwing money away. Xbox has the advantage here to a degree because they've made their mistakes. Let's not act like we've talked about some of them, right? Xbox and Microsoft have made plenty of big mistakes in the past, and they've learned from that, and their leadership has learned from it, and they're now a 20-year-old brand. You know, Xbox is 20-year-old brand that has made their mistakes, so they have a little more experience in how to your point, Dan, cultivate proper kind of studios and relationships. So
I give Amazon the edge here, to be honest. They have Twitch, they have AWS. Like their platform is like primed to become a super mega giant in the
Azure is catching AWS. It's not far.
It is for sure, but like Twitch, dude. Like
yeah, well, I mean, they bought
hard.
Yeah, they bought Twitch, and they got them. I mean, yeah, but Google has YouTube. Google found a way to launch a gaming platform in the cloud
and
with the biggest search engine in the world and the
Yeah.
biggest video platform in the world and the biggest streaming platform in the world, next to Twitch, of course, and failed somehow. I don't even know how you do that. Like, that's harder. It's harder to fail than to succeed, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense. But anyway.
Like, one last thing with that, because I really, with Google, I thought it would be really cool to, you look at a trailer for like Doom Eternal, and then at the end of the trailer, like, play the game now, and you play right through YouTube. And I thought they like actually showed some of that, or at least talked about.
They talked about it.
Said it was going to happen, yeah.
And they never did it, right?
Not to any.
It just wasn't that easy.
Degree.
Like, if I'm clicking on Play Doom Eternal, right, on my phone, and then they're like, all right, now go get a controller. Oh, and the controller has to be one of our controllers. We'll send you that in the mail. It's just like, it's just not like playing a game is not as easy as just clicking on it. You can't just watch. You can't just click on a button and then instantly play unless it's, Angry Birds or something, or Bloodborne probably.
But why don't they just do like the keyboard controls then at that point?
On your phone, if you click on.
No, I mean, if you're on your phone, okay,
yeah.
Then I see, but
it just gets more complicated. Like, you have to break it down by platform, and then the input device, and then can the game actually run on what you're playing? And I just think it's more complicated. I think they tried to oversimplify it, and gamers were like, "Dude, games are really complicated. There's like lots of different ways to."
I didn't think about the different devices. Yeah,
they learned the hard way.
I don't think they did either. To your
credit, they clearly didn't. That's why Xbox has been very methodical in their approach to cloud. They've been talking about it for 3+ years, and you notice they're doing it very slowly, by platform, by beta, by test group. It takes the work behind the scenes on that stuff is astronomical. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Let's get this super chat, Dan.
It's complicated.
I know, right?
Fat Boy Horror for the £5 super chat. Thanks, man. Amazon has Twitch, which is with its hate mobs.
It's hate mobs. Yeah, that's
Listen,
another issue they have going on right now.
Yeah.
That happened when I was recording with Cog, like
Terrible.
a month or two ago. I luckily I'm a mod for their channel, so like as he's trying to talk, I was literally clearing out like hate messages towards Cog.
What is wrong?
I think YouTube only has hate messages.
That might be true.
YouTube only. What?
He said, I think YouTube only has hate messages.
Oh, I got
at least when I'm on shows in the comments.
All right. We're moving on from this conversation. Let's talk some Halo, boys. Dan's ready to talk Halo. Come on.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, Dan, take off your shirt, reveal your Halo tattoo. Let's talk about this.
Whoa.
Easy.
He's got the Halo emblem over his nipple.
Yeah,
what if he did? What if he had the legendary emblem with the saying Healy head? And what would you do, Dan?
Right there.
Yeah, what would you do?
We'll see. What's
What would
that's
you
on the
do
Patreon
if that happened?
Yeah.
I would be very proud of him.
Nice.
Yeah, proud of my boy.
Yeah.
Playing
Kind
Halo.
of cool if he did like a sound tattoo and you can press it and just sings like the Halo theme song.
Yeah. I just open my mouth and it comes out.
Be like,
I can think of many situations where that would be inconvenient, and they're all sexual.
Yeah.
So big team battle, boys. Big team battle. Launched Friday, as we're recording this, and I know I've gotten a ton of matches in from parties ranging to 2 people to we had a 11 out of 12 the other night. It's absolute chaos. Early impressions are I'm just as impressed, if not more impressed with this than the arena that we've been playing. Not competitively, but in the sense of the scale and just how well it seems to translate to Halo gameplay. You're talking 12 on 12, right? Massive map, all the vehicle, all the chaos, all the crazy things that happen in big team battle, while still being stunningly gorgeous, mechanically sound. I'm playing in the 120 FPS mode, and it's still just, absolutely amazing looking. And the capture the flag, the modes, whether you're playing Slayer, capture the flag, total control, I'm a little iffy on, but overall, I think the experience I've really, really, really enjoyed. And Halo seems to be multiplayer anyway. Of course, we keep saying seems to be in a place right now that, and I know we said this multiple times already, but seems to be in a place that I don't feel like Halo multiplayer has been in a very long time. And I think there's a lot of hype and kind of excitement around Halo for good reason that we haven't seen in a long time as well. Way more than I think we saw with Halo 5, way more than we saw with Halo 4. There was a lot of hype with Reach, but as we said before the show, Reach got decimated when it launched, and it was really destroyed by the community. Whereas the core community, both casuals like Dan himself over here, and the hardcore Halo community seem to really, really be loving what 343 is putting out. So I don't know. What do you guys think after playing big team? You still on this kind of hype train? You have issues? What do you think?
You gonna go? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love it so far. I think if like before Infinite, a lot of people was worried about like sprinting, for example, right? They were worried that 343's influence from Halo 5 would be too much for Infinite. But I think after people actually tried it and got to see what this game could do, it's a good blend of a lot of the different Halos. I think it does sort of have Halo 2 vibes for me with certain weapons, but also Halo 5, Halo 2, Halo 5. I like to go to.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It feels like the best of those 2 games mixed.
Yeah, the best of both worlds. And the equipment was a great touch.
A little bit of Combat Evolved. You guys
with the art style, for sure.
I feel the design aesthetic definitely harkens to CE.
Yeah, a lot of the grassy fields does remind me of the first time I landed on the ring for Combat Evolved, for sure. And first off, I always say this to people, like the worst Halo is better than a lot of other games. A lot of other games, easily, like in terms of how it feels and even some of the content. Now I know with there was this whole thing with Halo Reach, like Angel was saying, when Halo Reach first launched, people did not like it. It was very divisive, and then people seem to slowly over time learn to appreciate certain aspects of the previous Halo titles. And every time a Halo title comes out, people hate it. Then they learn to appreciate it over time. So I hope that doesn't happen.
That to happen to Halo 5 Guardians. I can't wait.
That
I think it'll happen. Wait, I think it will.
Just wait a couple of years and then.
Yep, I honestly do think that. I think a couple.
You're talking campaign.
I think both.
Well, I think multiplayer has always been widely appreciated.
No, it has.
I like the multiplayer.
I like it too, but it has not been widely appreciated. The Halo community dunked on that whole game when it came out. Campaign. I mean, obviously the responsible people, but like if you talk to people about like what's the best Halo multiplayer, like Ains, smart people like you and I who play a lot of Halo, we say Halo 5 is the best multiplayer, but most people do not say that. They're like, "Oh, Halo 3 was the best."
Well, people always go to Halo 3, but it's more of a nostalgia thing.
Halo 5 when it first launched, it didn't have split screen, right? It didn't have a lot of these modes.
Didn't have big team
now. Didn't have big team. So that definitely added to the conversation already on top of the story not matching up with the marketing material for sure. But Infinite, I'm really enjoying it. I have been playing with huge parties and it feels like 360 days.
It does.
And I'm able to jump into different parties. Everyone's playing Halo, like, hey, how you like it? Okay, bye. And I jump in another party. So that really feels good. If I had to like critique some of the balancing things, because the problems I have with Infinite right now are like minuscule. It's like different balancing things I would like to see, but it's not anything where I'm like, this ruins my experience. I hate this thing. It's more things that I would like to see change. Just for her balancing thing. I would love to see, this is just me, the battle rifle be 4-shot again. There's a lot of situations where I was just fighting somebody and then it feels like shoot, they got away. And I think it's 5-shot again. And I think the pistol is
the TTK would be too short if it was 4-shot.
Wait a minute.
So?
You mean I thought you meant a 4-shot burst. You're saying a 4-shot
burst kill.
It is a 4-burst kill if you perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 5. Or maybe I'm just sucking.
I
think it's
I think
it's 5
to
now.
you it is. Trust me. It's
the
4.
first flight I knew it was 4, but this one I think they amped it. So
you have to get a perfect. Okay. You have to, where it actually says perfect. You have to get that to get a 4, but you can get a 4.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just sucking with my aim, and that's on me.
Chris in the chat just said it's 4-shot. I'm telling you,
it is 4-shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to keep interrupting you, but perfections are hard to get, right? So it's not
big team battle.
Yeah, it's not consistently going to be a 4-shot, but you can 4-shot. Yeah.
Okay. And some people have a problem with like the aim assist. I would like to see it bumped up a little bit. Really, it's weird because I played Halo 5, right, just to see. I played Halo 5 back to back with Infinite. And I could see the differences with the aim. Some people thought the aim was too strong on Halo 5, and with Infinite, I go back and forth with what I think, because sometimes I feel like I'm shooting somebody and it should have definitely hit, but it's like their head is here and it just like very close.
The magnetism on the bullets is minuscule. To your point, you can test in the sniper like a bots, and to your point, you can shoot like their ear and it won't connect. Whereas in Halo 5, you could miss by like a foot. Like the Halo 5 was very generous.
So some people like that. I think just bump it up a little bit. I would say, because I just think it would feel a little bit nicer.
Okay, right. I'm surprised to hear you say that. Only because I know how good. Only because I know how good you are at Halo, and so I tend to think that the more skilled players who love Halo want the kind of magnetism of the bullets to be lower, because it allows, when you have it higher, it allows the less skilled players to compete in ways they shouldn't be.
It's an interesting conversation, because then you have the people who are on mouse and keyboard where they're used to stuff like that, and the people who are on controller where they're just like, what is going? Why am I shooting and it's like passing by their ear and they just get scraped?
Well, to your point too, if you don't know this, anyone listening or you guys, the HCS, the Championship Series, which kicks off in November, they've already announced that for the first time ever, it's going to be controller, keyboard, PC, Series X all together. They don't have separate events for PC and console.
Good.
So it's all one. So to your point, 3-bit, I could see the argument like if they start to see that mouse players are having an advantage because of the accuracy, right? Whereas controller does need a little more magnetism to compete at that same vein. I could kind of see that happening too. So
yeah, we'll see.
Kev, come on, Kev. I'm kicking Kev out of the chat for that joke.
all these are again like these are like nitpicks. I freaking love the game. I think the gameplay is super solid. The maps, so far, I'm loving like all the maps for different reasons. And the different what people call like in battlefield moments, where everything where there's just chaos and you get these amazing plays. I'm getting a lot more frequently on Halo Infinite than any other Halo so far in just the flight. So
I agree with you.
Loving it so far. Looking forward to playing it with some of you guys.
There was one thing I was just gonna say to you. You said you were going back between Halo 5 and Infinite, and I did that a couple weeks ago with the first flight, or several weeks ago. I don't know about you, but once I kind of got used to the Infinite, because I'm playing a lot of matches, right? It just feels a lot more fluid than Halo 5. Like I never thought I would say Halo 5 started to feel a little clunky, but compared to Infinite, it does.
Yeah.
Whereas Halo 5 just feels far more fluid, which is really impressive because I think Halo 5 was, fantastic, right? Mechanically. So,
yeah, I was thinking that. I was wondering if it was because of my sensitivity is so different between the different Halos, but no, I did think you are right there. It is a lot easier to snipe on Halo 5, I did find.
Yes,
of course.
It absolutely is.
But yeah, I think in Infinite, like 120 frames also.
Yes.
I tried it yesterday. Amazing.
Yeah. Dan was asking me actually yesterday in chat, DM, if I can really see the difference between 120 and 60 on Infinite. And I said, it's not as jarring, in my opinion. It's not as jarring from 30 to 60 in games, right? Like that's a big difference. But I did go back and play kind of the full red. Now on the Series X, if you have 120 FPS TV, you can play the Infinite Flight in quality or performance, and quality is 4K 60. It is noticeable. Like once you get used to playing 120 in multiplayer, especially when you try to move to 60, you can notice it. It's still very smooth, but it's just not as smooth.
Doesn't it physically hurt your eyes and your whole body if you don't play on 120 FPS or greater, though? Because that's what all PC players say. They say if you don't play on 120 FPS, like you start to vomit and you get seasickness and you're bedridden for 4 weeks.
I actually got COVID after switching to 60.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, guys.
No, 60 still plays fantastic. In fact, I think it still plays so well that when campaign comes, I'll probably choose the 4K 60 mode. But multiplayer, I'm always going to play 120 now that I've gotten used to it. Yeah. So, Travis, where you at, man?
I hate it. I think this is going to be the worst Halo. The gunplay is really bad. Feels like Killzone, the first one.
Does. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it does.
Not even the second
maps.
Not even the second one.
It doesn't have any maps. I found. No, zero.
Like when you load it, it's just empty.
When you load it, you're just shooting things, no map. You just shoot. It's like
he just did the weapon drill.
I don't even know what that means. No maps. No, I like it. It's great. I think it was very wise of them to make Big Team Battle 12v12. 8 doesn't feel big at all. Like calling 8v8 Big Team Battle is kind of hilarious in 2021. You're like big, like that's not a big team. 8 people, like especially with Battlefield where you have like 100 squad mates or whatever the heck that
64 on 64. Yeah,
64 on 64. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm glad they did it. I like that they have mini squads within the big team. So it's like there's 3 little mini squads of 4. That's a nice detail. The sandbox is awesome. I wish there was less aim assist, honestly. I'm a controller player who hates aim assist. I turn it off in a lot of games if I can. But most shooters don't let you do it.
Yeah, I
but
see people go back and forth with that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's because there's those moments where aim assist screws you over, and I get so mad. It's not worth any kills I get in between.
I actually completely agree with you if you're talking about what I think you're talking about.
The pull, I'll be
like
shooting some guy,
and
then
one
some dude
jumps
runs in
over him,
front
and
of
my
you,
cursor
and
moves, and I'm
and-
like, oh my god. Yeah.
When that happens, I'm just like, I'm turning aim assist off right now. It doesn't help me that much. There's no way. And games where I turn it off, it does affect my kills a little bit, but I think it helps me just as much, and I enjoy it more because I feel like I'm getting better rather than just relying on the aim assist to help me. So, but yeah, getting the magnetism where you get pulled away from a target you're about to kill and then get
That's
a kill.
true. Yeah, that has lost me some tournament matches for sure.
I cannot handle that. So, also, who wants to bet that the HCS is the winner's a controller player? I'll bet that.
I'm not taking that bet because I've seen those guys play on controllers for years, and they are unbelievably ridiculous how good they are. Damn. So yeah, I'm not taking that.
I was hoping a sucker would take one of those. So,
No.
Dan, you want to lose some money? How
Sure.
you feel? You want to take that bet?
Yeah.
All right.
Take that bet. Yeah. Let's just bet like a subscription service.
No, we're not going back there, Dan. We're not going back.
All right, no. I have no idea. I was going to download
this. Sorry, Dan. There was one thing go ahead. Finish your thought.
No,
there was something I was going to say to relate to you on this.
I have no concerns about this game, mostly because I haven't played it. But it's awesome to hear that you guys. What?
Will you play it?
I will play the campaign for sure. Yeah, 100%.
That's where I was going to go, is to say, I don't know about a 3-bit and Travis, you guys, but playing big team, especially on fragmentation, that map, right, and seeing the 120 and how it flows, how smooth it is, my mind immediately went to, wow, this campaign is going to be special. Like if they get the story right, which they should, they're focused on Chief, they've got Esheram, they've got the setup they need for that campaign story. If they get that right, the world, right, and the gameplay within that world after playing big team has me just even more excited than I already was.
Yeah.
I'm extremely excited for the campaign.
It's definitely really, really like good news for people who are worried about the campaign because the sandbox feels so tight and so like incredibly good. Like I can't even imagine if they're able to pull off this crazy stuff, the grapple hook and multiplayer arenas. Can you imagine the campaign?
Exactly.
They're going to be doing. It's going to be like Dishonored level. I think the clips of like, where in Dishonored people are showing like the blink and the crazy like assassination takedowns. I think that's going to be like the Halo campaign.
It's going to be some wild stuff
where you're like, what? Like, how did they pull that off? So I'm really excited for it. But again, like campaign is a whole different beast. Like it sort of has to have its own sandbox. We haven't seen the AI yet. Like that's something Halo has always had great AI. Even Combat Evolved has like better AI than games that are made like today. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how good the AI is. And this is a brand new engine and we haven't seen the AI on it yet. So
the only thing I agree with you completely. And Halo has been known for the AI. The only thing I would say to that is if you do play like against like Spartan bots, like from a multiplayer competitive perspective, you can still kind of dominate them, right?
You can see it,
but you can see a lot of thinking that these bots do. Like you can see they'll get hurt and they'll start to duck under cover. Did you see that? Yeah, they'll ninja you. Did you see the one bot where someone threw a plasma grenade at it? It stuck on his needler and the bot threw the needler away.
Whoa.
Like the bot threw the needler away, pulled out his pistol, and then lived because the plasma explosion was far away. So I think if they put that much work into the bots, I'm hoping that translates to the AI for the elites and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a lot of confidence in it, but it is a new engine, and like I think there's some like magic pixie dust in the old Bungie code around AI that made it just like way better than anything else. Like you playing on Legendary, those elites like dodge and constantly throwing grenades, and you just cannot pin them down, and you're just like, Jesus, like these things are smart. Like this is so annoying. I think that needs to be there, but agree. Personally, I'm not super worried about story. I think 343 has told good stories, despite what people think about Halo 5 campaign.
Halo 4 is the best campaign. I'll say it every time.
Halo 4 is the best story, the best campaign.
Oh yeah, I
don't know about that because the campaign levels are basically hallways where you shoot a bunch of forerunners. Like they take out all like the exploration that I like in Halo games, but the story I agree with you.
Well, Halo 5 had great gameplay right in the campaign. It's a story.
Yeah, it had good levels too.
It did.
It had
great level design.
You could find level, like you could discover stuff, and I personally like the story in Halo 5. I just think people are upset that 343 chose a direction and they were like, we're going for it. Like we don't. I think they're brave personally, but we'll see what they do with this one. But either way, all this news is like at the very least encouraging if you
Yes.
are if you are like Dan and just want to play the campaign. Like seeing all this, like you're gonna have fun with the sandbox at the very least.
Yeah, and Dan's playing on Legendary when he gets it too. So
of course,
me too.
Because Deathloop was too easy.
With the engine, if I could talk about the engine for a little
Go for
bit,
it.
the Slipspace engine, when they said they were creating it, they said they're going to take aspects from the Blam engine.
They did.
In order, to still have that Halo feel. So maybe I'm pretty sure they probably took the AI if you love the AI in like different games and stuff like that. And
I
Halo,
believe sorry, 3-bit, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say the campaign does have a different set of problems because it's a day and night cycle, right? It has a different lighting scenarios. Like with multiplayer, it's probably baked the lighting.
Apparently, it's open world.
It's open world.
Yeah.
So they do have like a different set of issues that they have to deal with as a team. But just from the feeling of that I got from the multiplayer, it makes me excited for the campaign. They talked about how at nighttime there's like there might be grunts that are asleep, and you can go ahead and look at different jackals patrol and how they probably have like luminescent creatures and stuff that you'll see at nighttime and stuff like that. That hasn't really been in a Halo campaign before, at least in the open world section. So 100%. I think Travis Ames, if you're talking about like what's going to be available for the Halo campaign, what you're excited for, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what 343 is working on. So
they're also like confidently putting a $60 price tag on the campaign without the multiplayer. That to me was just like they're like, we're confident, like this is going to be a good campaign. So
yeah. I was going to say, going back to the code, they've talked about how, one of the hardest parts of creating this engine was scraping through that old code, right? And making sure, because there are things that have been in there for 20 years since CE, and that are critical to the way Halo feels. So I can only imagine. I mean, we've talked at length, right, around how long this game's been in development, the engine, the money, all that stuff. But those are the types of details that people don't think about, right, that have to go into it. And people really don't understand how hard that is to go through an engine that's over 20 years old, that is so critical to your game's feel, and try to make it work within a new engine. And that's crazy work.
So it's even crazy that they use the same engine. It's just weird to think about. The same engine that's in Halo 1 Combat Evolved is the same engine that's in Halo 5.
I know.
It's just
wild.
You can tell if you throw a grenade in Halo 5 and throw a grenade in Combat Evolved, you can tell that's one of the things that gets carried over. Like the grenade bouncing and the way the physics work is like is in every Halo game. And you can see it. I think if they took parts of the Blam engine, that was one of the parts they took. The way grenades bounce around, because it's the same way in Halo Infinite.
I think I showed that clip I had from the first flight of just a bunch of different grenades, a bunch of different grenade sticks and throws and stuff. And I was like, that's one of the key parts of my game. I would notice right away if something felt off about throwing grenades. Like it's a key part of Halo, but it feels fantastic. So, Dan, we've got some super chats from Mr. Pampa himself here.
2 of them.
Yeah.
Right. First, the $10 Pampa. Just loving all the Halo talk, love and excitement. Makes me happy. Any changes you hope they make on the game? Hit the like button. # free Dan's nips. Bring that old beautiful thing back. And let's just knock out the $5 one while we're at it.
Yes, I'll come back to the question that he asked there in a second.
You can answer both of these questions. Also, how about how beautiful fragmentation is? # my God. The $5 Pampa. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Pomp. Going back to your original question of this is kind of, I guess, Travis 3-bit for us, obviously playing it. Any changes you hope they make to the game? It's kind of hard to say. I think you said it earlier, 3-bit, around, criticisms are kind of minuscule. There's very minor things that I have complaints of. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this total control mode. I get the idea behind it. It's kind of like a big team version of domination, but my thing is you've got 24 players rushing to 3 points, which consist of 5% of the map on a big team map. And it just feels like it's those centralized kind of just chaos battles, but you're not really taking advantage of the map at all. I really would have liked to, even I don't even care if you just copy it. It just works well. Something like Battlefield's Conquest, where you have this huge map, put 6 or 7 points on it, and let people, do it on a timer where you let people kind of explore the whole map, and therefore too, when you play new matches in Conquest, right, you may play on a map where you fight a lot of your battles at F in one match, whereas the next game you'll play a lot of your battles at C, and C's in a completely different area of the map, so the battles are very different. Where this total control is like it's the same points every game. It's like they start here, the second round's here, the second round's here, and it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. It just feels very flat for a big team mode, in my opinion. So I would like to see some revisions to that. I'm going to be that guy. I think the AR's range is too long.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I do think.
Really?
I really do. No, I'm not saying like nerf it. You know what I mean? Like the AR has been in some Halo games completely useless, and that's not what I'm saying. But
almost all of them.
Yeah, and it's really strong now, and that's fine. Like it should be strong up close. But the fact that you can get hit from quite a ways away with the AR, I think it's just a little too long. Like I'd like minor bring in the range a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all
what
I would
she
say.
Said.
But you I don't want to be grouped in because you see that with every game. Like every Halo game, everyone's like, oh, this gun's too powerful, this gun's too powerful, and all they want to do is play with the BR the whole time. And it's like, well, no, for Halo to be good, in my opinion. Yeah, you want the sandbox and all the weapons to have a function, and I just think the AR is a little too.
It is a shame. Like I do get with the when they start adding some of the grenade equipment that has like the electricity.
Yeah,
it's called.
That was really weird.
That means now the plasma
fantastic.
pistol, is useless. Well, not useless. You could still pop shields with it, but
yes,
that was something I loved to do in the previous games. Was use a plasma pistol, disable a vehicle.
On vehicles, yeah. I still see people trying it, and it just doesn't work anymore.
They're like,
oh, really? That doesn't stun vehicles?
Doesn't
No,
even
not
do vehicles anymore. Because you have the shot grenades and the pulse rifle, which is not the pulse rifle, the shock cannon, which disables them as well.
Yeah,
I think you guys are crazy about the AR. If somebody sneaks up on you in an AR and is shooting you mid range, and you have a BR, you can turn around and win that encounter.
I never said you could.
Yeah, so what's the problem?
Range is too long. I don't know how else you want me to explain this.
Well, how is it too long if you can win encounters with mid-range weapons? It doesn't win mid-range encounters.
It can win mid-range encounters. Sure, it can.
If you're bad.
It's just like a balancing thing because you have your precision weapons and then you have like your AR, which is more spread. So, I mean, it's just all about balancing how it feels and what feels right and what feels wrong. And to me, in the other Halos, the AR was pretty much useless.
Not good.
I would say with 343, what they're really good at is making the guns that were useless in the past, making them like feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think 5. That's one of the things about 5 that's good. The weapons are mostly viable, like all of them. You can use most of them. You can use them in a way that you couldn't in prior ones. Yeah.
I'm glad they made the Needler a power weapon. That's like,
Needler's awesome. Yeah,
it's so good.
It's pretty cool. Where's the carbine though? Come on, man. I want my normal carbine back.
There's some weapons that I see people posting in like that forge mode thing, but I don't see it in the It's interesting because we have the boost too, like in Halo 5 they have the thrust. There apparently that's in Infinite as well, but I don't
pickup.
See it. It's a pickup, yeah. But I don't see it in any of the flight tests yet.
So. No, they haven't. I wonder if they're still tuning it or something.
Yeah.
I think the carbine aims was just the DMR, right? It was like too similar. I'm kind of glad they got rid of it.
No, they got rid of the DMR and the carbine.
Yeah, but there is essentially a DMR now.
Yeah, the commandos like the DMR. It's kind of a shame though. DMR was literally my favorite weapon. Like I like DMR over the BR.
BR superior in every way. But yeah, I understand you. But I think that I like it when each weapon has its own identity. And part of my problem with Halo 4 and Halo 5 is there were a lot of duplicates, stuff that felt like duplicates. And the Covenant carbine was like, it felt like a lot of weapons that, it felt like the DMR to me in a lot of ways. So I'm kind of glad that they're just like making things feel like completely different. What is that? Like the shock rifle? I got that and I was just like, I don't even know what to do with this. And
I did at first too, but yeah, I got used to it. over time.
It's good. It's almost like a laser gun. So it can disable vehicles. When you hit a player with it, it breaks their shield. If you hit them a second time, it kills them. So it's another weapon like the plasma pistol where you can quickly shoot it, break a shield, switch to pistol, and headshot them.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I need to use that gun more. So it sounds like plasma weapons being the thing that disables vehicles are being replaced by these electric weapons.
Yeah, pretty much. But it makes the plasma pistol to 3 bits
Like-
point useless. Like no one's even using it.
You could do the noob combo.
Yeah, you do that in arena. Yeah. That's about it. But all right, Dan is about to fall asleep, I think.
What? I have no idea what you guys said for like literally the last 5 minutes.
We'll move
That's
on
all
from
right.
Halo and talk about Battlefield real quick. So Battlefield Open Beta was announced. It is coming this week, actually. So the schedule's kind of weird because they put all the times out in UTC. So to convert that for you, early access is October 6th to 7th, 7 a.m. UTC, which actually is the night prior for our time zones, which is 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. So that's the 5th to 6th for early access. And then October 8th to 9th is open access, so open beta. Same thing, 7 a.m. UTC, which means night prior, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on the 7th for that. So I did look at the details. It is the same. It's one map. It's the same map that I played in the original kind of alpha. All I can say is let's hope this is like a 12 months later build than that alpha because yeah, I've already mentioned many times how rough it was. So we'll see what comes this week. I'm not overly confident in it, especially coming off of how good Halo feels. Battlefield has a lot to live up to, but we'll see. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
It's not even really a fair comparison though, right? Like Halo is like a legendary game that takes like 6 years to come out with, and Battlefield is like an annual release game with like a very separate like set of objectives. I think it's just not fair to me. It's like I feel like you shouldn't even really compare them.
So should we just compare Battlefield and Call of Duty from now on?
You should compare about like to me like Battlefield's like a popcorn movie, like you're like comparing like a action movie starring
Like a Fast and Furious.
No, how dare you? that is an art house film.
An art house film.
It's like you guys are comparing like an action film starring Dwayne the Rock Johnson with like
Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
First of all, he does not star in those movies. He stars in Hobbs and
he?
Shaw, which I would put a spinoff. I would put that in the category of
Doesn't he?
crazy.
Is he not the biggest star in that movie?
Of course not.
What?
He's saying
Who
it's
is?
the cars. It's the cars.
The cars aren't even half
I know.
real. I mean,
Family is the best known character. Everyone
anyway,
knows Family.
we're not doing the Fast and Furious.
Why not?
route
Why
today.
can't this
Family.
be the Fast
No.
and Furious podcast? All right.
No.
But yeah, I just think like you're comparing like an action, like a cheap action film against like that was made in like one summer, like they just like shot it really quick, or like a horror movie compared to like this 10-year like James Cameron like epic that like had a $500 million budget and all that stuff. It's just like, damn, I don't feel like Battlefield's getting fairly treated in this fight.
I see what you're saying, and actually, I do agree with you. Battlefield is, I do agree. It's kind of that block. It's a big blockbuster that you just play for fun because it's pure chaos. I don't look to Battlefield for finely tuned competitive mechanics. I just don't.
We never looked at it for that.
No, I mean, to Travis's point, you can't. It's just not that.
Yeah,
It's a big team, just explosion fest, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Well,
It's fun for what it
when
is.
people look at Battlefield and go like, oh wow, it's really in trouble because of Halo, I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but like, no, like people playing Battlefield are not like looking at Halo and Battlefield and going like, well, they're similar products. I wonder which one I'll get. Like they're just completely different types of players.
Yeah.
That's why I hope Battlefield's good, because it fills that other shooter space for me personally. That Halo, it's very different to your point.
Well, what's like the Venn diagram for, where that crossover comes, like players?
I mean, Halo, I feel like is just in its own category.
Yeah.
It's like an arena shooter. There's not a lot of arena shooters left. I know Splitgate is trying to reach that sort of Halo feeling.
Splitgate is the one that should be worried, in my opinion. Although that game is amazing in its own right, but I still think like they probably share a lot more in common with the Halo fan base than Battlefield does.
I mean, it's clear. It clearly has influence, right?
Yes.
Clearly it has influence from Halo, but I mean, Battlefield, it definitely is in a interesting category because with Call of Duty, it's very much fast paced. You die, you get back up and try again. It's kind of like Halo's SWAT, right? Where you just die within a few shots, and it's more about your response time with a lot of this. Different instances with a lot of the different guns. But Battlefield
it's also much more of an individual performance game versus kind of team shooting.
Oh my god! So much
if you
more.
have a good team on Battlefield, then you could do something just a little bit. Yeah. I hope that the beta for this time around, that because that was closed, right? If I'm not mistaken. It was a closed test. This one's open.
It was also an alpha, so it like all of its issues are really understandable.
Yeah, I'm hoping
we'll see,
because it's open that they're more confident that they fixed a lot of the issues that was in that. But that's, I don't know. Battlefield usually doesn't launch very well.
No, it doesn't. We've talked about that here. Yeah, it hasn't launched well in a very long time.
Yeah, it usually doesn't launch well. They fix the issues like months and months after the game. Then it starts to feel pretty good, and they figure out what the community wants. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen here, but we'll see. We'll see. I just want to at least jump in that tornado and fly in it.
The trailers the trailers look really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Game didn't play like that.
It was an alpha.
I know. That's why I said I trust me. I love Battlefield. I hope it's great. Bomber's in the chat now, who me and him played together. So we keep joking offline about this has to be a major upgrade from the alpha. So
it made me appreciate Halo more, actually.
Yeah.
Playing both of these betas, playing Call of Duty and Battlefield, I'm like, wow. Yeah. You can't say anything about Halo. I have barely had any like performance issues, or I didn't like my Spartans' heads weren't turning into PlayStation 1 games.
Years. It's like
So that is true. It is a James Cameron film for sure.
It's way better than James Cameron film. But it's an allegory.
And
we'll see.
How dare you?
Dan, are you Battlefield? I know that's the one kind of multiplayer game you kind of dig a little bit. You jumping into this? Going to check it out?
I mean, I might see what it's about, and maybe.
By the way, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, because you have EA Play, you get early access. So anyone on Game Pass Ultimate can play on October 5th.
All right, nice. I mean, that's so okay. I see. That's like at 10 o'clock at night.
It is. 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. So you can play the morning of the 7th. Yeah, or 6th.
That's my bedtime. It's I'll try it out. I mean, what the hell I got to lose? I mean, this is the one game that I might pick up and actually, play a little bit of multiplayer. So I'd like to see what it is. I'm not super enthused, So
see, the Dan gamer, not interested in Halo, interested in Battlefield.
I am interested. I'm interested into Halo. Is different because it's like Ains has always said. It's always you have to be very, very good there. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than just run and shoot this person. Battlefield, I usually play as medic, and I rarely shoot anybody. I mean, I literally run around and just throw stuff.
Calling Nurse Dan. Nurse Dan.
That's all I do. And I've been on the top of the leaderboards in just points by just doing that. So
I do like that about.
I heal people.
Yeah.
He's Dan's the only person who plays Battlefield as a pacifist.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like that. I'm like, what's his face? Andrew Garfield in that movie. That movie where he's like the doctor? That's me. That's me running out there.
Just run around killing people.
Yeah. No, he doesn't kill anybody. He saves everybody. That's what it's all about. If Halo had that, I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Be the healer, right? We'll see how it goes. I mean, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know here in a couple days, so we'll be talking about it, at length next week. We'll kind of give our feedback after everyone's played it, right? So, We'll see.
Ridge. That's what it is. Thanks.
I just think it's so funny, all these the zero-sum games that we think exist in the games industry. Like, if there's anything I've learned, it's that like every game can be really successful apparently, and there's just lots of gamers out there playing lots of games that I have no interaction with and I can't believe are still alive, and it's just like they're just out there thriving. And then but then when gamers talk about it, they act like it's like this ultra competitive, like if you don't have every gamer you're dead, you know, the whole like dead game thing. I play Destiny, so I'm used to like hearing this argument a lot, but like I saw on Twitter the other day, like somebody said, oh, Halo Infinite, better enjoy it while it lasts because it's dead when God of War launches. I'm like, what? Like what? Like really? Like
that's clearly just a PlayStation.
Getting more
I was just like
Fortnite right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. As soon as you started that, when you say I saw on Twitter the other day, I knew it was going to be
yeah. I mean, it just blows my mind that it's like I can't believe that's a real thing. Like Minecraft is still like one of the biggest games ever. Minecraft Live happened the other day, and it had
it's still
millions
growing.
of people. It's like growing every year, and I'm just like, I'm always amazed at how many people there are. Because I remember on the 360 days, they had to shut off servers because there weren't enough players for certain games. Remember that? Like they would just be like, "Oh, there aren't enough players. We're gonna have to turn the server off." When's the last time you heard that happening of any game? Like I never hear that happening in the current games, and that surprises me that there's still people logging on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Rocket League is still huge.
Rocket League's massive,
and it's like been out forever. I'm always surprised how many people.
Very simple game too, but me and funny enough, Pampa and Elu, we play every week. Yeah, I mean,
I drive around in one of the Fast and Furious cars.
That's probably why you're so bad at it.
Throw time into your come at me.
So am I actually.
I'm actually not, but yeah, I aspire.
Me, Pampa, and Elu were Diamond tier. We got the Diamond 2, and it's been all downhill since. So we won't talk about that.
It's like I gave up. I uninstalled it because I kept losing.
Is that one of the games on your I can't play it list?
Yeah, definitely.
I can't play it. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk about this week is this kind of return of these classic titles that we've been hearing about. And, you know, we don't really kind of dabble in these nonsensical rumors that are out there everywhere, but this is reported on by a couple sources, including VGC, reputable sources. So the first is separate, which is that Twisted Metal is returning. I know we talked about this previously, but they kind of said this week a little more info on it, that Twisted Metal is returning. It's going to be made by Lucid Game Studio, who made Destruction All-Stars for PlayStation, which, you know, died a very quick death, it seems. And it's potentially going to be a free-to-play game introduced by PlayStation alongside or coinciding with a TV show in 2023. So this just doesn't sound good to me. None of the things I just said sound positive in my mind. Twisted Metal, for me, I'm one of those guys who thinks Twisted Metal Black is the best Twisted Metal game we ever got. Part of the reason for that is that you had actual kind of stories behind the characters that were entering this battle and why. So a Twisted Metal return, you know, for iconic characters like Sweet Tooth, I always hoped we would see something like that, where you know, it's obviously bigger, broader, more expansive in a modern game setting, but you would have player characters that you would play as and kind of take on that role. And I don't know if free to play kind of, you know, we'll have to see what that accomplishes. But regardless, you know, I'm stay open-minded. I hope they do this justice, because the last thing I would want to see is Twisted Metal finally return after all this time, and for it to be completely mediocre and die, you know, 3 months after release.
You confuse me, Ains. I gotta be honest.
That would be disappointing. I confused you? Why?
You confuse me in many ways. You bag on Fast and Furious, and then you like Twisted Metal. I can't figure out where's your bar.
Twisted Metal Black is notably better than any Fast and Furious movie. Come on.
Wow, that's wrong. And I can prove it with math.
Why are we comparing Twisted Metal and Fast and Furious? What are we doing?
I'm just saying, you say you're a car guy, you talk about the sanctity of cars and how Fast and Furious is unrealistic, and then you play Twisted Metal. Come on.
Last I checked, Twisted Metal wasn't trying to represent real street racing. Give me a break. Twisted Metal is obviously a made-up freaking game for fun. What are you even talking about?
So is Fast and Furious. It's a made-up freaking movie for fun. That's my point.
It reminds
When
me
have they ever been
of
trying to
Saints
be
Row.
realistic?
That's what Fast and Furious reminds me of. Like
Yeah.
it started off kind of serious.
They tried to be and then got clowned because
And
they
no.
didn't hit any of it.
It's because Justin
Nice.
Lin is a genius and he created a live action anime with power creep,
Yeah.
and they have to get more powerful each movie to
Yeah.
face their opponent.
Yeah.
It's actually genius.
It was.
And Justin
It was.
Lin is the best.
And Tokyo Drift just showed drifting in all its glory. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's really good. It's really good. But anyway, Twisted Metal.
I actually disagree with you on this game, which is why I wanted to give you this. I think the free to play model is probably good for this series, because Twisted Metal has never really lived on very long after the game has come out and doesn't have a lot of development, and they've already seen this model sort of like exist and succeed with like Rocket League. Imagine a Twisted Metal that is Rocket League, that is supported over time, that instead is about making goals, is about destroying each other, destruction derby style, but has that same components of like competitiveness and growing over time. I think that could be really good for Twisted Metal. Yeah. So I actually, when I heard that news, was like, I could see that, but I don't know about the show or whatever. That sounds like a nightmare. But like, I think the free to play model isn't necessarily a knock against it. So we'll see.
No, not against the game itself. I think it could probably thrive in that model. To your point, I just would like them, because there were iconic characters, at least at the time. And remember, we're going back a long time.
They won't do character stuff. If they do, they'll do it through the show or the movie or whatever, and then they'll like try to tie it in or anything with that. But I really don't care. I think all the Twisted Metal characters are stupid. So the game's great, but the characters are dumb.
Bro, Sweet Tooth is a classic character.
Yeah, but tell me something about his character with a straight face.
If I remember correctly, it's been a long time, but if I remember correctly, he was a father and family was killed, and he became basically a psychopath.
So it's basically about family, just like
it's family. It's always
actually
about
a Fast and Furious.
It always goes back to the
this is where we're at.
Yeah.
He got
it's
to
just,
that one. Man.
It's just Fast and Furious in an alternative timeline.
Yeah, Fast and Furious in an ice cream truck. Simple.
Perfect.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, did you guys play Destruction All Stars?
I played it for about an hour.
Like, how was the gameplay?
I played it for about 30 minutes.
On the Vita.
The gameplay itself, like, it was smooth and it played well. It just it wasn't executed. The game itself just didn't keep you interested at all.
Okay, so replace everything about that with the Twisted Metal IP. Is it better, and add some story background, I guess, to it? Does it make it any better? In your opinion, I've never played it, so
I'm hoping that because it's Twisted Metal, like, I feel like with Destruction All Stars, they were inspired by Twisted Metal in certain ways, but they wanted to do their own like thing, and like you can get out the cars, you can have this sort of these battles where you're out of the car, then you jump in the car. I think maybe this is me being very optimistic with them already having a blueprint to follow with Twisted Metal, that maybe that will make it so it's pretty good, because it played pretty great. Like Ames was saying, like it was pretty smooth. Some of the cars felt okay. So I'm hoping that because they have the blueprint, it'll make it easier, but who knows? The TV show thing is interesting because we know the only thing I can think about, or a game that launched with a TV show, I can think of two actually. Quantum Break, kind of,
right,
and then Halo, they kind of launched with the
Forward Unto Dawn,
or
Nightfall. Oh, you're talking about the second one with Locke.
Oh wait, was that the
Nightfall,
or was that Halo?
Nightfall?
Yeah.
Nightfall was the one nobody liked.
Nightfall's not
the
good.
one people liked.
Yeah, correct. I did not like Nightfall, but I did like Forward Unto Dawn for sure.
I think one of the Halo games was supposed to launch with a show, but that show is still in production hell. I don't know if it's ever going to come out.
It looked great though. I saw leaked images.
Yeah, it's scheduled for first quarter next year on Paramount Plus
year.
now.
Every year,
like literally, the production team's come out and said they're nearly wrapped filming. Like they've been filming it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I hope I see that.
I think Halo Infinite's getting delayed. I'm just kidding.
Delay low.
And like Bomber said too, like he wouldn't look forward to having to watch a TV show to get the story from the game. Which, I just
think people should abandon all hope. Ye who enter on on Twisted Metal having a story, or that even being something that they should shoot for.
Yeah,
just do what you do well. Like just have.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
That's the thing that sort of makes Twisted Metal kind of different, though. That it has story and it's kind of a racing game. I mean, Need for Speed sort of did it for a bit, and then they gave up with Most Wanted. There's not a lot of racing games with like story, kind of Mortal Kombat-esque situations where it's like almost like a tournament, right? Yeah. At least for racing games.
That's what they did with Twisted Metal Black that made it so iconic. Like that's why it was so beloved.
So they should keep that.
They dove into that.
Yeah, I think they should keep that to some extent. I do agree with Bomber saying that basically getting stories from elsewhere, like with Halo, that was a big problem I had with Halo, actually, where they had all these amazing stories with Master Chief, and then you put it in like a little text box or put it in books or movies
or cutscene you have to find at a terminal in Halo 4.
Like they had amazing cutscenes in the terminals for Halo. I'm like, put that in the game. You know
why? It's because nobody would watch that. Like the Halo fans are so impatient. It's like tapping B. Right, come on. As soon as they're not shooting something, they start tapping B furiously, trying to get out of the cutscene.
That's true. They're like, come on, all right, let's get back to the game. But I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Like in Infinite, I would love to see, like, this is my wish. Keeps coming back to Halo, but come on, I love Halo. I would love to see Master Chief as a kid, and you get to battle the other Spartans in that game of Capture the Flag that they played in the books. Like that would be sick to me. And that's
call it Grounded.
The huge spiders everywhere. Yeah.
I was literally looking up Sweet Tooth's history because, as I said, his background, I'm like, I don't know if that's right, and I'm trying to see if I had any part correct, and it's hard.
His family was tragically killed due to brain freeze, so he that's why he drives the ice cream truck.
He's a serial killer who uses the ice cream truck. Like we knew that, but
yeah.
Anyway, his actual real name is Needles Kane.
That sounds like a real name somebody would have.
Needles.
A serial killer. Needles Kane. Perfect.
But Twisted Metal Black came out in 2001. That's how far back we're going. It's 20 years old.
I was in sixth grade. Somebody asked if I was alive when Twisted Metal Black came out. I was. I played the game. I was in sixth grade.
I think I played it on the PlayStation 1, if I'm not mistaken.
But I don't know. PS2 for me.
Twisted Metal Black was PS2. Twisted Metal 1 through 3 or 4 was PS1. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Last thing I wanted to touch on too, these other games. So Twisted Metal was one, and then VGC also had a report that yes, Konami is returning to game development, and that includes Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and Castlevania. So apparently, the first game that will be coming from them is a Castlevania game, supposedly a reimagining of the series. And what the kind of conversation from the sources said is that Konami, obviously has been away from kind of the games industry for a little while. They took a few chances with Metal Gear Survive. They saw basically, they failed with their past couple of releases from a profitability standpoint. And now they are more open to working with Western development studios or outsourcing to studios to develop their IPs. So they're saying Castlevania is in development. It's a reimagining of the series. Metal Gear Solid is returning, though it's not Bluepoint like people kind of rumored or speculated. It's actually going to be made by a studio called Virtuos, who have done things
multi-platform too, because all the Metal Gears have in the past, right? The recent ones.
I guess, yeah. It depends on who publishes, right? I guess if Konami's publishing themselves or not, they don't say. But it says that Virtuos has worked on Dark Souls Remastered port, Outer Worlds port, BioShock Collection, a lot of ports basically, and contributing content to big games like Battlefield 1, Uncharted 4, and Horizon. And it's not going to be Metal Gear Solid 1. It's going to be Metal Gear Solid 3 that they're remaking. Don't really know why. And then lastly, they said that multiple Silent Hill games are in development, including one that is being done by a major Western developer. They didn't no speculation on who. So who knows? But I guess for me, I'm not a big Metal Gear Solid fan. No, I know obviously tons of people are, but Castlevania and Silent Hill definitely interest me greatly. These are three iconic IPs, right? So it's I think for years many of us have said now, what the hell's Konami doing? Kind of frustrated that these IPs were left in the dust and no one was making them. So it's kind of great to hear, assuming this is reliable, of course, that these games are going to be coming back, and I just hope they're done well.
The answer is that they've been working on those pachinko machines.
I know, man. They do casino machines and slot machines. Yeah, it's good.
I honestly think they should just sell off their properties. I don't know if even what they're doing right now, the strategy of outsourcing it, I feel like they should probably just get rid of their IPs and exit. If their business is like 90% pachinko machines now, although they do use their properties for their pachinko machines. So, you got to have that Castlevania pachinko. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this works out. I obviously those IPs are really adored, and Castlevania has lived like 9 lives because it just gets reimagined every couple of decades. But I do think, like Lords of Shadow, that was sort of like a reimagining of Castlevania, and that was an awesome game until the second one, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it. But I'm with you, Ains. Like most of these properties have never really like all the way clicked with me. Like I played all the Metal Gears. I loved 5. I liked 5. I don't understand why a whale was on fire in the beginning. You ever feel like you're too stupid to understand something?
So
like sometimes I play Kojima games and I'm like, wow, am I just dumb? Like I go to a museum and I look at a painting and I'm like, I mean, this seems good, but I don't know enough about oils to really like. I was in Italy once and I pointed at a painting. I was like, I like this one. And then the museum director was nearby and he was like, oh, that was done by a college student last week. And I was like, cool. All right, I'm going to leave now. I'm just going to go walk away out into the woods. I don't know what I think some of the Kojima games I just feel like are above my head or just nonsense. And maybe I'm just, I'm being harsh on myself, but I even Silent Hill and Castlevania, I've played some of them. I like some of them, but they're not like, I didn't miss them, basically, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I didn't really miss any of them, but I'm interested to see how they get reimagined.
You mentioned the guy on fire. So I actually played the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 5 for a series on our channel a few years back. And like you get to that point and like, everything's kind of normal. And then all of a sudden, like guy shows up on a flying horse and he's like on fire and then like sends to the sky. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, what the hell is going on?
The whale.
Like,
don't forget the whale.
Yeah, I was like, all right. We already went full Kojima. And then, of course, it says, directed by, produced by, written by, drawn by, created by Kojima, just over and over and over again. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. So,
that's as far as you got in Metal Gear Solid 5?
I played the first few missions and stuff, but it just didn't do anything for me. I liked Metal Gear Solid 4, actually. But that was also kind of
the one with the really long cutscene.
Yes,
only on the PS3 still.
PS3, yeah, I have that bundle. I have the MGS4 PS3 bundle still. Yeah,
that game was weird.
But yeah, I've never been a huge fan. But anyway, back to the original point, right? These are 3 beloved IPs. So, Dan, 3-bit. I don't know if you have anything kind of you're looking forward to on these or anything you'd like to see.
So it's Metal Gear Solid 3. Like
that's
Snake Eater.
Snake Eater. That's the rumor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of when you go and kind of look into like the Metal Gear series, that's one of the hardcore fans love that game, and I think it did really well as far as like critically.
It did
too.
They all did,
but yeah, and I don't think it sold quite as much, but with I'm interested in that one. Castlevania is I like those games when they were on Nintendo, but I really haven't played them since. So
you didn't play Lords of Shadow?
I didn't play. No.
I've heard really good things about that first one. And
Lords of Shadow is like probably like top 30 game for me. Like that game was amazing, and I was one of the people who never really clicked with me the Castlevania games. I played that one. I was like, dude, I am all in, and then they somehow screwed it up with 2. 2 is like dog water, dude. It's like not good at all. Unfortunately, but yeah, the first one's really great.
Nice.
Yeah, in the Silent Hill, where I'm at on those games.
yeah. I shouldn't even ask you about that one. Yeah,
hard pass.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're a scaredy boy.
Big puss.
I didn't go there, but yeah, I love it.
I have no problem.
Own it. You got the casual shirt. Now you just need to put like a frame underneath that. Yeah.
Nope. Never cared what a single person has thought about me. Still don't.
Love that.
Giant puss.
Yeah, I wear a suit every day, so I can relate with not caring what people think about me. Yeah.
Oh, 3-Bit, what do you think, man? Anything to add here?
So is it Virtuous who's doing it for Metal Gear 3?
Yes.
Okay, so they have done different productions for different games. Like they did some level design for Tomb Raider Rising, I think.
Okay.
They have done some work with Outer Worlds and Batman Arkham City. So they are very much a support studio for a lot of bigger studios.
Yeah.
I'm guessing why they're doing 3, and this is just my theory. I don't know if this is true.
Let's hear it.
Konami did all the cutscenes from Metal Gear Solid 3 on pachinko machines recently. Like they remade all of the Metal Gear Solid 3 cutscenes, but it looks nice. You know, it looks a lot better than the PS3 at the time. Looks a lot nicer. I think it's
PS2. I thought, isn't it? Metal Gear Solid 3. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it might have been PS2 actually. They redid all those cutscenes, but it was on pachinko machines, and that made some people really mad because you're remaking the game we all want to be remade, but you're putting it on a pachinko machine. So I'm thinking they could take some of those assets that they already built for those pachinko machines because it did look really good. And they already have the assets there, so why not just rebuild?
So Virtuous is a support studio to a pachinko manufacturer, is what you're telling me? That's
maybe that's my theory.
Supporting right now.
That's my
dude.
theory.
That is crazy. They're doing it for synergy or to make the fans shut up about the whole pachinko thing. Like it's like one of those two, right? Like that's nuts. I had no idea about that. I'm definitely Googling this for like 3 hours.
Yeah, check it out. Because Konami, what else have they made besides Survive recently, right? So it does make sense that they would want to start partnering with different studios. If that is still their interest, as far as I'm concerned, they're big. The reason why they stopped doing different games was because they felt like the cost of development to actually producing the game wasn't enough for them. And that's why they started getting into casino games. Yeah. So I'm wondering what changed between them, between that decision and now.
Probably the amount of money the video game industry is starting to make.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're seeing those numbers.
And just you can take even less than 10 years, last 5 years, it's almost doubled.
Well, also they're not making the games themselves, right? They're outsourcing it. They're just saying like, hey, it's our IP. You make a game with this, right?
Yeah, and that's smart because they can keep doing that, right, and make money that way. And then they are not developing repeatable. It. They're just like, hey, we make money from you making our game.
Exactly. Because they have the power of the IP. And
now guess what? Kojima. Yes, they kicked him out, but he was working under Konami. And now he has his own production studio. So if they do license it to him, he has to make it, on his own.
I would say that I really hope Konami doesn't drop the ball with these games, but they are in the pachinko business. So maybe that's what they want.
Jesus.
Drop the
coin. Part of this report or kind of circulating too is that I think we all know that Kojima is working on a game with Xbox, and apparently it is a very well-known IP, is all that was said.
Yes.
So who knows if
it is Konami, that was just an example, but I do think with the rumors with Kojima and Xbox, they're interesting because it keeps revolving around the cloud, and that's why he wants to partner with them. And we do know with what he did with Death Stranding was very much experimental in a lot of ways of how you can connect with people. That was like the theme of the game.
Yeah.
Like how can you connect with other people when no one's there? And
I thought the theme of the game was how much monster energy can you put
that too. Game. That was the second. That was an important.
That was the second theme. Okay.
Yeah. That's why they liked it so much.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. When I try to explain the story to people, it feels like Kingdom Hearts, where it's just
oh my god,
it's hard. It's very like you have to explain to people that the guy in Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake is not the same Snake that's in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Liquid.
it's Liquid Snake and Solid Snake, and yeah, it's a mess there. But in terms of like Castlevania, and when they're rebooting it again, I'm guessing they're probably going to be inspired by the Netflix edition.
Oh, yeah, could be.
Probably.
Castlevania, because that was amazing anime, amazing show. You guys should go see it.
So good.
There you go, another show you have to watch. Don't miss it.
Yeah, or I'll hit you. Yeah.
Yeah, violence. Castlevania, I think that's where they're going with that. And what was it? Silent Hill, was that the other?
Yes.
Game?
Multiple games. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting because Konami, what's going on with that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll see.
I think it's another one of those probably like cross-pollination things, right? It has to do something with pachinko or their movies, because Silent Hill's been probably more successful in those movies than in games.
My wife was watching the first one the other day.
Movies make a lot of money, dude. I honestly think that might be it.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I know the movies helped me. It did help me understand the story for the games, actually. So it did that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I just think it's exciting. It's always nice to see kind of these big beloved IPs return. I just think we all hope they need to return in the right way. Like if they come back and they're handled by a third-rate studio that does a terrible job, or it's going to be worse than them not returning. So we'll see. But all right. I think that was our last kind of big thing we're going to talk about today. I just want to remind people this is that crazy week of the year coming up where we have Travis, like I said, the Smash Brothers killer Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl here October 5th on Tuesday. Far Cry 6 launches October 7th on Thursday. Metroid Dread launches on Friday. And Back for Blood launches on the 12th, the following Tuesday.
Forgot about that game. That's
a lot of big games coming this next week and a half.
Well, it's back 3-bit.
It's back
for blood.
For blood.
You're killing me. So anyway, a lot of reviews on the site, and like I said, stay tuned for Far Cry 6 coverage this week and my review. We're talking about doing a Halo roundtable this week to kind of circulate our final, kind of a big group thoughts on the big team battle and kind of the flights as a whole. And then, yes, I'm recording with Colin Moriarty on Friday, but I don't think it gets published on Friday. It's not live. So I think it gets published the following week. So we will see how that goes. That was an interesting turn of events.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. That was interesting. So we'll see how that goes.
I literally didn't know who he was until I had no idea.
He's like infamous.
I know. He's like one of the most well-known people in the gaming space.
Yeah, he really is.
No idea.
Besides Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley, Greg Miller.
Yeah, Greg Miller's probably a little bigger.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's gonna be a fun week. Like I said, 3-Bit man, thanks for coming out, dude. Absolute pleasure having you on. Love the Halo chatter. Love your insight into things. So thanks for coming out. We'll have to do it again sometime.
For sure, man. Pleasure.
Yeah. Where can people find you, man? Yeah.
So my Twitter is i3bit. Everyone can follow me on there. Lately, I've just been posting like Halo clips, but just every day.
Subscribe.
But I do post my animation work from time to time that you guys can see on there. Different renders I'm working on from different games I'm working on. So you can check me out on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. I'm on different shows as well. Xbox Ultimate every Friday, and then Xbox Factor every Tuesday with Mr. Boomstick and the crew. Other than that, my YouTube channel is the Video Games HD. I'm going to be posting more animation stuff. That's just what I do. So I'm trying to show people what I do a little bit more, but I also love podcasting and being in this community and just talking games sometimes. So you'll see either me talking about games or me animating for the most part. So it's been a pleasure being on this show with you guys. Travis, Ains, thanks for inviting me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Thanks, brother. Travis, anything to call up?
Yeah, you can find my articles, reviews, and previews on IGN.com. I just did a preview last week of Dread Hunger and a review of, I can't remember what the review was. Was it World War Z Aftermath? Maybe was my most recent one.
I wanted to try that.
Yeah, I reviewed like 3 games like back to back to back, and then was doing previews in between those. And then I have an unannounced preview that's going to go live, I think, on Wednesday that I got to write today, actually. So that's definitely on my to-do list when I'm not playing Halo. You can follow me on Twitter at TieGuyTravis if you want to hear me talk about video games, Destiny, Fast and Furious, and Star Wars, and also dunk on Ains publicly. Other than that, you can find me here Sundays at 8 a.m. Pacific. I don't know if we have any Pacific viewers, but that's where I'm at. And you can also find me every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific on a Destiny podcast I do called The Last Word. If you play Destiny, or if you don't play Destiny and just have a really weird instinct to watch other people fight about something.
By the way, did you make progress on the competitive PvP thing yet?
Oh no, I'm getting destroyed online. Nobody agrees with me. I can't. I think there's going to be this Friday. We have a guest, Tom Warren, who is an Xbox guy. I'm pretty sure he's on the side of everyone else who thinks that Destiny does not need more competitive options or a competitive end game.
Well, you can tell him he's wrong too.
I will tell them all that they're wrong because I'm right as usual, minority, and I'm right. But that's just the life that's the space I occupy. That is my bleak Twitter following is probably partially for that reason. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And as always, thanks for being on the show. 3-Bit, you're awesome. Great guest.
Excellent. Dan, Mr. Casual, Battlefield this week. We'll check it out.
Yeah, we'll jump on there. Check out my Kina review.
Yes.
I put up there.
Would you give it?
An 8.
Wrong.
I got the 8 down there.
Wrong.
I was teetering. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. I kind of gave him a little bit of credit just for, being it's their first game out. They did a pretty good job. Yeah. But I figured you would love it. So
it's pretty good. I have to say it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Chat, thank you so much. Anyone listening later, thank you so much as always. Appreciate you. That was Bitcast 173, and as always, we will see you next week. Peace.